Yeah, but you have the intro for Will or no?
No.
You have to introduce the guest like you always do.
Oh,
You can make one up for Will on the spot then, no? You have his achievements to memory, or well, how do you want to be introduced?
I got it. I
Just
got it.
he's got it. I bet.
Welcome, welcome to the fourth episode of the Chit-Chat. I'm your host, Cheek. How are you guys doing today? I'm here with my twin brother, co-host. Introduce yourself, bro.
Yeah. Hi guys, it's Arian. And yeah, without further ado, our guest for today, or not really a guest, he's more like a partner for this one, is someone I've had the pleasure of working with across 3 different game titles. Winning in 2 different game titles with him in challenges. He's coached 2 separate academy teams, and most recently was the head coach of a CDL team and the youngest ever head coach the CDL has ever seen. Um, it's none other than our partner in crime, Veohz.
Hey,
Hey,
hello
Will.
guys. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Hey, always a pleasure to have you, man. I mean, this is probably going to be the
Obviously.
most chit-chatty episode
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
um, this is gonna be us bullshitting about COD, talking about some of the season, talking about kind of how we started, how things have progressed in our careers.
Yep.
But how you been doing, man? Off season,
Yeah.
what's been going on?
Honestly, not much recently. I just came back from Switzerland maybe a week ago.
Yep.
That was great. I love Swiss. Good cheese, good chocolate. Can't eat it. Diabetes. Nah. Honestly, it was great. Um, I've been enjoying my off season apart from the little trip to Switzerland. Nothing too crazy happening, but relaxing. Having fun with the boys, my IRLs, and my family. So yeah, been cool.
I like it. I like it. Um, Well, I kind of want to get started at
Yes,
the
sir.
beginning of the season. The game comes out. I think actually, well, you give us a timeline because you know it better than I do. But
Yeah.
um, LAG went into the season um, and announced the roster that ended
Mhm.
up being. How did you end up on LAG, and how did
Yeah.
the timeline of that look? You know, what was the process like?
So that was funny. So, uh, game dropped early November, right? If I remember.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
So
like
yeah,
the fifth
early,
or something.
yeah, something like that. So, going into the year, I had a challengers team planned, right? It was Fame, Diamond Con, SGL, and Flames, right? So we had that team planned, and we had no clue like what would happen with the league. Um, I mean, we thought like, okay, it was chalked. We're in challengers. There's no way we're getting a spot. But then Connor gets approached by ASIM's team with Kremp and Gunless, right? And then he's like, "Yo, Will, I think this is gonna be the LAG roster for this year." So I'm like, "Oh shit!" So we need to find a new AR, which we did. We found Bink, but 2 days after, I get the call from Brenda, right? And I expected the call because Connor told me like, "Yo, Will, you should expect a call from Brenda." Like this is what like ASIM told me or whatever. So I get the call from Brenda, and then but well, me and Brenda talked to in the past, obviously, right? We had the relationship from the LAG Academy team. Um, yeah, she was super blunt with me. She said, "Yo, we're looking to have a coach, and we want you, and we want to give you the keys and stuff, right? And we want you to build your project. And the reason why she gave me the keys is because of like my vision for coaching and the way I like team culture first, and my like new generation mindset, I guess, for coaching. Um, so yeah, she gets me in. I get the keys, and I had not a lot of time to make a team. Obviously, the game was already dropped, so we had to get to practice soon and super quick. So yeah, listen, I got maybe I took the day to think, maybe the night, right? And then I instantly like talked to you guys after, like the day after, I believe.
Yeah.
So I said, boys, like this is the players I'm looking for. I want to try this team. We talked about like multiple options for subs, but like we ended up going for SGL, which ended up being a really good pick. We were like on a set on Diamond Crown, Fame, and Assault. Assault for like his leadership, and like we thought he would mold really well into our culture and our plan. And
Yeah.
then the other 2 guys were just like obvious picks for us. And then Justice obviously was like unknown variable, but again, really good pick. So yeah, I talked to you guys the day after we get things finalized. I wanted to work with you guys as much as possible because I think like for us having this first year in the league together with our own plan was like a big like idea of ours for like 2 years. You know, we wanted to always like work together in the league and have our little thing going
Yeah.
on, and made it happen. So yeah, that's how it went.
The Future Stars Factory, man.
Yeah,
Listen,
we had
man,
this group chat right for 2 years since 2022, and it was the Future Star Factory, when we had this like project of like making a CDL team on low budget and like trying to make the best out of it, right? And like big challengers players to like make it happen, and then hey, look at us, it ended up happening. So
yeah.
glad.
I mean, we have that infamous DM where like, um, yeah, in 2020, 2022, where we're like, Future Stars Factory, let's get it popping, and
Yeah,
literally one of the texts is like, boys, we're gonna be a T6 team average. We're gonna get a couple. We're gonna get a T4, T3 in there. We're gonna
yeah,
give challenger kids opportunities in the league, and then they're gonna progress and get onto better teams.
yeah,
I think that's how the season went. I actually think overall, Will, give your thoughts on the season. We'll go through it, but just
yeah.
overarching thoughts on the season. What did success look like going in, and what do you think it was successful? I guess.
Yeah, so I think main thing with the COD scene, right? People see success as like you have to win, and like winning is the only type of success.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, it's impossible for everyone to win, right? Not enough events or like, but there's other ways for us to like find success. And for us, success was like one, helping players develop and becoming like better players and individuals, right? So I think one, this is like mission accomplished. I think also placing well and better than like our opposition that like at the same level at us for like funds and whatnot, right? That's still like a big point for us. So at least placing well, having good LAN events, which we did. We had like two top sixes, a top three. So yeah, like we were, I think the best placing team outside the top four, right, on LAN,
Yeah, during the
something like
regular
that.
season.
Over the regular
During the
season,
regular
yeah.
season, yeah. After that, it was LA Thieves, I believe, right, or
Yeah.
something like that. But either way, yeah. I mean, happy with the season. I think it was successful. I think even for us as coaches, it was really successful because of our growth and the way we like learn different things and different ways of like coaching and approaching our work. I think yeah, that in itself is a success. So hey, listen, looking forward to the future. Hopefully, we're gonna see many more. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, just to touch on it as well, like success is so hard, especially in the league and especially in the like situation or the landscape of how the league ended up this season. Um, I'd almost liken it somewhere like F1, where you can kind of see the Mercedes and the Ferraris battle it out,
yeah,
and the Red Bulls always battling out for the top spot. And you see, like, if you watch the documentary or the docu series, you kind of see like these bottom tier teams, the Williams, etc., who are fighting for just points in general. Um, so we kind of knew the situation we were in. We didn't want to limit ourselves at all because, like you said, we had the infamous DM of, all right, we're going to be like perceived to be a weak team, but we're actually going to come out, show out, go consistently top sixes, which is better than half the league, and have a top three in there as well is an insane achievement in itself. But then we sat down with all the players as soon as we started the season, and we wanted to outline goals, which I thought was um, something that I loved that you brought on, Will, which was again to your team culture standpoint. I've touched on it where you mentioned that culture is everyone on the same page, reaching the same goals, like pure psychological safety. And you were able, we pulled everyone in individually. I don't even know if you guys remember that. And we were like, "What are your goals for the season?
yeah,
What do you want to achieve?" Um, and and I think almost every player listed out as their minimum of, oh, I want to make champs. I want to make champs. And one person's that stood out to me was Kev's. Kev's was, I want to make a Sunday. And I was
yeah,
like, okay, so Kev wants to be in that championship Sunday spot. And when we actually did it in Major 4, I remember walking over to the stage and I was like, that's something ticked off, Kev. Like, that's ticked off right there. And it was like, that was the final tick. And it came at the last stage of the season. But I really felt proud of everything that we individually spoke about with the players, the goals and the goals that we'd set ourselves. Not only did we reach them, but we also surpassed most of them as well. Um,
exactly.
so yeah, I loved it.
The thing is like, obviously the goal was in COD. The goal is always to win, right? Like obviously. But the
100%.
thing is like we were not sad with like losing, and we like didn't get upset from like, okay, we're not gonna win like them all, and if we do win, it's amazing, but like we can't be there and like be oh fuck, we lost, it's a failure and we're fucked, and like stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I like the way we approach it, and our goal setting was really good. So yeah.
And so I think we're going to touch on that kind of a bit further on in the podcast. Just saving some of that conversation. The coaching staff will. Obviously, you mentioned you got that call. I just remember being in bed and you'd be like, "Hey, hop in a call with me. I need it urgently." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Wait, what? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I just got a new job in the UK. I really was like, maybe there's something coming up." But coaching staff, how did it come about? What was the vision? And yeah, talk to us about how that all panned out.
Yeah. So obviously, being youngest coach in the league, I lacked experience on the big stage, and one thing that I knew like you guys would bring for me is like again helping me filling in the gaps and like doing your job to like the best of like your ability at all times. I knew like for example you two like both can do stats, but I know I really like had a more like an assistant background as well in the past, and I wanted really to have a staff that resembles like a football team. So having like really separate jobs and like we all together do different things, but like it leads to like a big cohesive unit, and it leads to like just more efficiency, right? So obviously I had my work on the like the day to day, obviously, and I was there like at all times because again I didn't have a job on the side, but like you guys did your part perfectly with like having your 9 to 5, and I didn't mind the 9 to 5 because when you guys were there, it was like I was at the best, so I knew what I was about to get, and I wanted you guys on the team. And I'm more than happy with what you guys did. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, at least for myself, like, um, my first year in the league was a huge
Yeah.
learning experience for me, right? It was,
Mhm.
I think the first 2 majors, genuinely looking back at it, I thought at the time, like, oh, I'm in the league, I'm doing league stuff. Um, Looking back at it now, I probably wasn't even settled. Not doing anywhere like close to what I do now in terms of just being
Yeah.
comfortable to voice my opinion, knowing when to add my voice was a huge learning curve, especially like this year that I practiced and kind of preached. Um, but that first year in the Mutineers, kind of feeling underutilized when you set the vision and we kind of all discussed it, like that vision of my stats, Ari's prep, your kind of overall VOD review, match preparation. Um, Being able to just focus on my stats and just even say to Ari, who like he's next door to me and says, "Hey, I need help with this prep. I need help," and I'm like, "No, no, no. That's your workload. This is my workload. We do like a real job. We took this seriously. It made it so much more comfortable for me just to work, and it was great to
And
work under.
one of the values we preach throughout the season for the players as well is like again, being open to like talk about how we feel and like how we like, stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
And I think for us, like being super close from the get go was like a big thing because when we felt like someone was doing something wrong or like not the best way, or like there was like things
Yeah.
that were like slipping, for example, like we were always there to like kind of help each other like getting back to like our best version of ourselves, right?
yeah.
Especially like you guys, like for me, or like um, when I needed like a little check in, you guys were always there, so it was always great. And yeah, I'm really happy and that you guys did that for me,
It's
and
that
hopefully I did the
yeah.
same for you guys. So I
It's that
think like the
holding.
way
Yeah,
we, yeah, we were like super accountable for each other,
yeah,
right? And
exactly.
like we were scared to like say how it is. Like if I felt like, for example, yo, Ari, like you could do this like much better here, like I would just tell you, and we were like, hey, fuck it, let's make it better. So that was like the way of approaching it was really good, and I really
I
liked the way
agree.
our chemistry was. So yeah.
I think we had something that maybe other coaching staff definitely do have it. Some
Mhm.
coaching staffs I can definitely think off the top of my head probably didn't have it. Um, but we just had like this layer of trust within each other. Like no one has any bad intent here. No one's like you might have
Exactly.
coaching staffs that you feel like, okay, why is someone saying this to me? Are they trying to like undercut me? Are they trying to go over the top of my head? Like, but we just had this pure trust in each other where it's like, no, we're literally just trying to be on the same page, trying to reach the same goal, and we're coming from a place of, oh, you can just do this a little bit better. Like, I'm not trying to take anything off your plate, but here's like a way we can do something. And
And I think
we always just tested it. And the thing
yeah,
was like, all right, cool. Like maybe we argued about it back and forth. Like, oh no, I really don't understand it. But then we always ended up for the most part on like, okay, let's test it. Let's just see if it works. Let's see the
exactly.
results of it a week later, and then let's come back to it. And if it didn't work, we're like, nah, that didn't work. No, that was
And I think the
whatever.
way of us like being that like super close and like super open and like trusting each other, I think kind of stemmed into like our players as well, right? If you think about it, like the way we were like always super open to like talk about everything and stuff. I think like we inspired the players to like do the same, and I think this is why also we kind of that like natural chemistry, and like all of these players, like there was like a new team in a way. Like they kind of teamed in some moments, but like it was like never for a long period of time, and it really felt like our team was like a team for years before like
Yeah.
the game even dropped. I think it's because of like the values we interested in the players early in the season. You know, I think that was like the biggest thing for us.
100%.
Agreed.
On top of that, I mean, the remote, we had to be open, right? Being remote, like, in
Yeah.
reality, me and Ari are the only ones who can be like, we're not remote. Like, we actually live together, work together, but like,
Exactly.
everyone being remote, you only have these conversations over Discord, over TeamSpeak, whatever
Mhm.
it is, right? It's so hard to gauge someone's emotions sometimes, body language, etc.
Yeah.
So we had to try and create, an environment where people can just openly talk. Um,
Yeah.
and working with like Matt Fish, who we'll talk about it a little bit later on,
Yeah.
working with each other to make sure we embody that. I think that was hugely important, and why Major One. I remember a lot of people were coming out saying like these guys are a real unit, and our vibe and our culture is the reason why we were seeing successful results Major One. Because we actually
Mhm.
wanted to work for each other, not just the
Exactly.
stat board, the leaderboard, or the result. It was working for each other. I liked it a lot.
Everyone wanted to be together, right? And
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is like we were actually a team. Like when we built the roster, it was not only like putting pieces together and like, and obviously there might have been better like pieces or whatnot, but like the way we built the team ended up working because of like understanding like everyone would trust each other to like a different level, you know? And that was like the biggest thing really.
Yeah. Perfect. Listen, well, getting into it a little bit, we spoke about we're
Yes,
speaking
sir.
we're speaking about it, but coaching Call of Duty, not everyone
Mhm.
understands it. You're getting a few Uber drivers. They'll be like, "That's a job." Coaching Call of
Yeah.
Duty, even the fans, like they don't know what you do. You have players speaking out about it, saying that
My mom doesn't fucking know what I'm doing. I'm not gonna lie.
E-
Like my mom has well, she knows, but like she can't explain it, you know? So
exactly. So
yeah.
listen, man, talk to me about your day to day almost.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that you put into place because you've worked really hard for multiple years now
Mhm.
to build up this sort of structure to how you go about the day.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that like helped me getting to the league is like my work ethic for the most part, and I think like it stems from again my daily schedule and like the way I approach my day to day as a coach. So I get up quite early, like 8 or 9 east, and then I would do obviously like all the morning routine, like eating and like brushing your teeth, going shower and whatnot. Um, the usual, right? But like I would get on about like 10:30, right? And from 10:30 to 12:30 it would be prep. So prep time, watching back the VODs from the day prior, or like like finding ways to like prep for the day for the players to make sure it's like the best, most optimal like practice on the day of. Um, and then obviously, like as a group, we implemented the download and uploads, which
Yep.
was amazing this year, right? So to explain it briefly, download was in the morning. We would just like talk to the players, ask them like how they're feeling, their energy on a scale of like 1 to 10. Talk a little bit, like ask like questions, like just to get the flow and the brains going, right? Then we would start VODs, obviously, right? Do prep. I mean, prep was always like super, um, not tedious, but like not always like super like it was super planned, right? It was like never really um to like just mixy and whatnot. But when it was mixy, I mean, I got told, and then we fixed it, obviously, right?
Yeah.
If you guys remember that, for a long time, I didn't know like what to prep, and then I was like, "Hey, let's just watch VODs, boys." And they're like, I mean, shit, we should just like keep like making it super like
Clear.
strict and whatnot. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we would go into scrims right at 2. And after scrims, I think is the biggest thing for me is like we did the uploads. The upload was like making sure the players are always um like saying their thoughts on the day, making sure like they're always open to like give their feedback. And that would be like 30 minutes, about 30 minutes after scrims, and everyone would be forced into speaking. And I feel like our most important conversations happened after scrims. Like we would just talk and making sure like everyone's on the same page. And we would do potentially VODs if we felt like doing it, or sometimes we wouldn't. But um, then it would go into again watching the VODs back. Sometimes doing solo VODs with players. Some players prefer solo VODs, some players don't. But like after scrim is again always a super grind. So I would work until like maybe 1 a.m. and then just go to sleep. So it was like always the same thing every day, just repeat, repeat, repeat. And that was like kind of a day as a coach. Like you never really stop and you never like really have time to do anything apart from coaching. I feel like
Yeah. It's always
um,
on.
it's always going, and like you never want to stop really. But I need my sleep, so I think I would get like a little good 8 hours. But yeah, it was a crazy season for sure. And it's 7 days 7 days a week as well, right? There's like no real breaks. I mean, we have our Mondays, but I feel like even for us, Mondays as coaches are not really like days off. They were like mostly like catching up on stuff and like making sure we're like preparing for the day after. It was
Yeah.
crazy. So yeah, a lot of work.
I mean, I have one of the DTs here that I'll show him.
Yeah,
Um, an example of like how we would use these sort of trackers. Um, this is just an example from one week where we just would use these sort of trackers to break up the day. A, for our
yep,
players as well, right? Like giving them information around, hey, like this is the schedule for the week. This is what's going to look like.
yep,
This is what's expected of you. Um, it allowed them to, maybe schedule their time off better, or they knew what they were signing up for week by week. And sometimes, you have those weeks where you have less energy, and that's why, we did the energy tracker. And we
yep.
only asked our players, just let us know how much energy you have. So even if you're feeling shitty, like if you're a 3 out of 10, just let us know, and we'll know. Like, okay, maybe
We'll
today.
be able to adapt our coaching to
Yeah,
that.
exactly. We
That
can
was the biggest
adapt. We
thing.
can we can help them get through the day. Maybe it's going to require a switch up with the flow. Maybe we just remove a scrim block, because there's the worst thing is wasting time.
Yeah,
And if it meant doing less scrims, sometimes that's more effective than sitting there all day and bashing your head playing Karachi hardpoint.
mhm,
It's
yeah.
sometimes tough, but yeah,
But so realistically, right? If you think about it, it is impossible for players to be every day at their best. Like you cannot be a 10 out of 10 energy every day, right? And like on some days, people would have a bad day, and it happens, right? But like if we know ahead of time, we can actually prepare and like prepare a criticism like to them in a certain way. Like if I know, for example, on a day, Kev, you're a 4 out of 10. All right, bet like I won't be on your ass because like you're on a 10 out of 10. Like you're on a 4 out of 10. I know that. So like the way I like approach my coaching is gonna be way more like uh mindful of like your state and like how you feel, And like I think in a way, having that like knowledge is really important, and I think something like people need to take into account because obviously at that level, at the top level, you need to be 5 or 4 days of the week, like on top of your game. But like if one day you can't be, hey shit, like I won't scream at you for no reason. As long as I know.
100%.
So yeah,
I mean, also as well, like you can see on the bottom side where we tried like partnering VODs together, right? We had
yep,
so in this example with the ARs with the subs, and you have like Kev, for example, if he's a 3 out of 10 on that day. Okay, cool. So let's just switch. Just as if you're free tonight, do you mind switching with Kev out for the duo VODs, and that way Kev can actually finish his night a little bit earlier, get more energy going into the next day, and then make sure
yep,
that he's got that duo VOD the following. So it's not having to make sure that these players are like sticking to this routine, but it's also allowing us to prepare their days and their afternoons as well a little bit for them too,
exactly.
where they
At
can come
some
into those
point,
days.
we
But
didn't want there to be like any like surprise, like yo, tonight you're watching VODs with me. And like sometimes people don't want to watch VODs on the night because I don't know they have plans or like they have girlfriends or like they have family dinners or whatnot, and like Uh, but like I think like that plan every day was like super simple for the players to just go and see and like okay, tomorrow I have my VOD session. I need to be there, and like I just need I'm aware that like it's a thing. So it was just no surprise for the players, and it was really nice for us as well.
And the final thing I did
Yeah.
the thing about the players as well, the worst thing that you see a lot happen in esports and Call of Duty is players getting frustrated with each other because they
Hmm.
think, one person's putting more time in than the other. This allowed us to kind of give a baseline. Everyone was putting in around the same hours every week, doing the same sort of stuff. But, the extra time that the players have, if they want to play ranked, if they want to go play shoot bots, play some extra GBs, whatever they want to do with their spare time, right? We knew there was a baseline that was being hit, and then everything else, like that's bonus work, that's whatever. And the players now less likely to get frustrated with each other. We had them obviously little arguments where people get frustrated thinking someone's not trying as hard or someone's not putting in the
Someone should
extra
play more
effort.
aids. Like
Yeah,
someone should
play
do
more
like this or
eights is a
that.
big
You
one,
know.
right? But
Yeah.
we knew like, okay, well we're hitting a baseline here, and all the players know that they're getting that amount of hours. We can now defend our players. We can step into those conversations and kind of put out any fires before they even get started.
Exactly.
Which I think led to us being one of the only teams in the league. We only made one roster change, and that roster change was signed to us from day one. we didn't
It
ever
was not
need
really
to.
roster trained if you think
Yeah,
about it.
exactly right. He was
Like
on our
it
roster.
was mostly us using our effectively. You know, like we had Jay on the bench from day one. We knew like he would be our substitute, and we just like utilize our substitute to the best of like our ability, right? And I feel
Yeah.
like the way we planned out like the year with Jay being on the bench was like it was inevitable. And it would probably like happen at some point. So like we knew like obviously, um, like that was like our team, and even we talked about this recently, me and Ash, about like our team was always like a 5-man team if you think about it, because like
Yeah.
even Jay when he was not on the team would like join TS and like be involved, and when he would watch VODs he would also like to join in and watch VODs. After scrims he would join in and talk to the boys, and like we were always like a 5-man unit. And even like when Adam got dropped, like he still got involved in some ways, you know, like he would talk to the players a lot. um it always felt like a team, no matter like if you were actually on the roster, like on the starting four or not. So, it was like never even a hard thing for Jay to even get in the team. So yeah,
And I think that's one thing we set out from the start as well, making sure that we wanted to have Jay around. Like we got him on a sub spot, and you might see like some subs are on sub spots and they're not actually involved with their teams.
yeah,
For either their decision or not at times as well. Like for sometimes they can just be kind of frozen out because they're not interacting with the team on a daily basis. But we had Jay around us as much as possible, and we're a completely remote team as well. So sometimes you have subs who are in the same facility as their team. It's easy for them to interact and watch VOD, but for Jay to be committed sometimes and coming in, watching VOD, but also when we're going to tournaments, he has a whole challenger schedule to be at, but he'd also try and come and see our games as much as possible and be around us when we're preparing for the matches. So we made sure he was around the team and understood of what we were doing on a daily basis. So when he did come in, it wasn't like, oh, Jay, by the way, we do this, 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 this. It's he already knew what he was kind of signing up
exactly.
for. He knew what was happening. Um, and he was like game for it, right? He came in with his own ideas to it. Oh, by the way, I think you guys can improve in this way too. I think this can happen. And it was like a breath of fresh air as well in the sense and the timing of it, where he knew everything that we were going down for. He was down with the base minimum, and he just upped it an extra level as well, especially to those like early stages when he first joined in, which
Yeah,
I think is what people talk about when they mention a honeymoon period.
exactly.
I mean, I kind of want to. We it was meant to be a topic for later, but let's get into it now. You know, we made that roster change. Um, a lot of the community wanted us to make it earlier. Um,
Yeah.
talk to me. You know, that roster change period. Um, we feel like, at least I feel like we pulled the trigger at the right moment. I think you guys have spoken about how we used our substitute and made sure that they were involved. Um, Adam and Jay, both cases. You just talk to me about the substitution. How did it come about?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, start there.
So going into the year, we knew like okay, our two hardest stages would be 1 and 2, right?
Yeah,
And 3 and 4 would get easier with time. We wanted Adam from day one because again, we had just on the team, like a newcomer to the league, and even like Connor and Kev had experience in the league, but like not as much as Adam's. So it was important for us to like have that veteran leading like leadership figure. And Adam was like that guy for us. One vocally in game, but out of game as well. And the craziest thing with Adam, I think people really underrate. I mean, people always underrate like intangibles, but when I say Adam as a player was always, and there's no days where he was lacking like in energy at like I think he's 27 now. Like him being the oldest on our team and being the most energetic and the most locked in every day again proved to me that like that's why he's a champion, right? And like people, okay, he had bad statistics here and there, and he had like his bad series and whatnot, but like the way he would um like get on every day and be like that guy for us and like that setting that bar and that expectation for the players to like kind of follow was amazing always, right? So big shout out to Adam for that. I think like he really stepped up for the players, and like I think everyone kind of followed like in his steps, you know. Um, and even like when things didn't like go Adam's way, like if people are like super tired or whatnot, like he would always like step it up for them and always like take that step to make sure we're always at our best possible. So um having him early in the season was like primordial. Like it was super important to like set that culture and like set this like expectation, you know. And then at some point, well after major 2, um well in major 2 we won one series online, right? It was a phase 1. So like for the boys that was crushing, that was really hard mentally. And we still bounced back and had a good placing online. But then going back into the stage 3, major 3 qualifier, we knew that we had to win because it was our two easiest stages, right? So we start the stages, and I don't remember all the series. You guys probably do, but like we lose the first two, I believe, 2 or 3 or whatever, and then I think it was against good teams as well, if I recall. I think it was like Ultra or something. We had good
We
series.
get it.
Um,
Yeah, it was
but
a
we
Stage
thought
3 we played
about
Legion and Ultra. Stage
Legion
4
and
we played
Ultra. Okay.
Ravens and Thieves. But
Yeah.
yeah, stage 3
And
Legion
like
Ultra.
the issue with stage 3 is like, okay, we started those 2 matches and we thought we should win the Vegas one. We didn't. We got like slapped 3-0, I believe. And then we played Ultra
Yeah.
and same thing. I think we lost 3-0.
Yeah.
Like those series were not competitive at all, and we had PTSD, or not really PTSD, but like we felt the same way we felt in Major 2 when we couldn't win a series online. And we felt like it was moment for us to make a change at that time because the upcoming series were Rocker and Boston, which were like super vulnerable at the time. So we felt like, okay, going into these series, if we bring Jay now, if we have like our honeymoon period, we should be winning, and we expected to win either with Jay or without him. Like with Adam, we thought we would win, and with Jay as well. But we thought, okay, the best time to bring a player in the league would be against these two teams because again, one, he played these guys in challengers a lot, right? Jay had like known that like, okay, I'm gonna play Snoopy this weekend and Beans and like play Gunless. I've played these guys a lot in the past, so like I know how to play them. And he had full confidence going into these series because he beat them all the time in challengers, right? So we knew like, hey, the best time to bring that guy in is right now. And like that whole week of practice was amazing. We had a great week of practice. He had super good energy. We go into the weekend. He plays incredibly well, and like from that point on out, like onwards, like we knew okay, like that's our guy, and like we want to keep that guy. And us winning those 2 matches with everything as well. It was like the start for us to qualify for winners for Major 3 and stuff. So yeah, I think the timing of everything was perfectly planned, and I'm really happy like to the way we did it. So yeah.
So, Ari,
Yeah, I mean,
anything to add?
no, I think Will kind of put it perfectly. We timed it perfectly well. I think the players also, you kind of get a sense of when something needs to change, and the players had that feeling at the same time too. And yeah, I think it was timed perfectly. Like Will says, when you have someone like Flames, who people don't really know, he's like a great kid, but he is the most confident person on
Exactly.
earth if you're around him. But he's like such a nice kid, always polite, always respectful. But then when you have him as a competitor, he's like exactly what you want. We throw him in a situation where he's not gonna doubt himself, never ever gonna doubt himself. I mean, he never doubts himself against anyone, to be honest. But you just know that he's gonna go in there with full confidence. I think the move was timed perfectly as well, and it was also just like I said, a breath of fresh air for the other
The
three
boys, right?
players.
Yeah, because he
Um,
brought up that energy to the other players. Like he's so confident that like the players bought into that mindset, you know. And that was
yeah,
like a big switch in like our like the team's morale. Because again, you have this guy like he says, "Yo, we are gonna win this shit. Like there's no way I'm losing to these fucking shitters." Like put
yeah,
lightly, right? No way we're gonna lose to these fucking guys. And then like we all bought into that so hard, and we
yeah,
all played that whole week of practice with so much energy and intensity, and like we were like playing with full confidence in our gameplay as well, which we had
yeah,
issues like with in the past. Like if you think about it, like
Yeah.
other stages, we played with like barely no confidence in our gameplay, and we addressed that as a team, but it was hard to actually like switch that flip, and I feel like Jay was that flip for us. Like he actually like lighted like the mood for everyone, and like boom, now boys, we're playing with fucking confidence here, and like we're playing aggressive, and like we're doing this and that, which I think again I'm really like proud and happy of like the way he actually brought like that side
yeah.
of our team to the
And
best.
even
Yeah,
don't even forget it too, right? Like we played Rocco on S&D, and he clutched like insane one v
two
threes,
ones
and
threes, insane
like
ones
to
too, like
save the
generationals.
save the game. So when you're a team,
Yeah,
a player who's just seeing that guy do that, you're like, okay, this guy's got
that's
me.
our
Like he's
guy. Yeah,
taking
that's our
me through.
fucking guy, dude.
So
Like you
it
can't
just
go into a
gives you
series and
so
like
much
be
more
like,
confidence.
because you always expect like magic after that, you know? Like
Yeah,
1v3
100%.
back to backs, you're like, damn, this guy could be fucking next up, bro. Like, holy shit. Like, what did we
I
miss
mean,
out
yeah.
on? You know,
We
like that
we
guy's
played Breach
insane.
the day after, who were the
Yeah.
worst team in the league at the time, and we had to Neslo them to get it through, but we get it through, right? Like, and we knew,
That was a
like,
relief,
we
yeah.
knew that was where we were gonna get the win as well. Like we knew, like, all right, we're not dropping S&Ds to them. We're not gonna lose
Yeah.
control. Like, we're guaranteed this win through a Neslo minimum. Like, let's go in there and like test our
Let's
hard
do it.
point.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I think they're also a decent hard point
They were
team, to be
pretty good at
honest.
our point.
Yeah.
People like shout on like them a lot, like Boston, right? But genuinely, during that like drought that they had, they were actually good at hardpoint, like all the
Yeah,
time, and they just couldn't win fucking SNDs, right? If they
yeah,
figured the SNDs out, they might have been in a better spot, obviously. But
yeah,
hey, listen, they didn't, so unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, even, on that subshoot as well, like the amount
Yeah,
of work that I guess the coaches stuff as a group we put in, before that change as well. Like that change wasn't a
Yep.
knee-jerk reaction to the 3-0s that happened, right?
Yeah. We thought
We
true.
had discussed it. We knew Adam was sticking with us going into Major 3. But even like from the start of Major 3, using that time to identify like what is our issues actually on the map, right? You see a lot
Hmm.
of teams make roster changes, and then those teams end up looking worse than their
Exactly.
original team. Um, and to me, outside looking in, when that happens, it's most likely because you haven't identified the issue correctly, and then you
Yep.
haven't scouted the right talent. On our end, this substitution, we had scouted Jay at the start of the season. We kind of knew,
Like for
yeah,
years, we knew he was, and we knew
exactly,
like how vocal he was as a player, and like how alpha in his personality he was, and like
yeah,
we knew what he could bring to the table, and like that's because one, I coached him in challengers in the past, but also because Justice played with him for a long, long time, right? And like even Connor like fathered that guy, if anything,
yeah.
like genuinely. So, um,
And then,
we
well,
knew
then,
about Jay like a lot,
yeah,
and yeah,
and
made
then
the
and
right
then it
move.
comes down to, so then we scouted our player already. All right, now what does he need to bring to us to improve us, right? So
Mhm.
we knew like the conversations we're having with Jay, bringing Jay in, it's strictly like, hey Jay, we need you to that confidence piece. We need you to just put damage on the map. We're not like me as an analyst. I'm talking to Jay. I'm saying, Jay, like KD, everyone cares about it online. I don't give a shit about it. I need you to put damage. Like that's the stat that we're lacking in. I need you to chow, be aggressive, and that's what he brought to the team. And that is a key reason. Identifying your issues as a coaching staff, and then if you can't fix it within the team, which we obviously tried to do, and we saw success online. Online, we were struggling.
Mhm.
Jay bringing that change to us was massive, and that's where I
Yeah,
think, as a coaching staff, we did a lot of work behind the scenes, making sure we found out exactly what we needed from Jay,
and I
and
think
set
like
him up for that success.
role wise, we all wanted like different things from Jay. So like for me as a head coach, I wanted Jay to like every day bring as much energy as he could and like always be like the best version of himself, because when he was like that, it would feed like into everyone, and everyone would like feed into Jay's energy. Like, yo, Jay's screaming today and he's like going super super hard, like boom, everyone was going super hard. So if I had that from Jay every day, I was fucking happy. Now, as Ash said, he wanted like Jay to like put Damien like play a bit for himself and like be like that guy that could like kind of take over for us. So like we mentioned like he practiced that because Ash needed that for us to be better. And
Yeah,
I don't know like if Ari have anything like in particular that like he
I
wanted
mean, I
from Jay, but
remember
it's a bit like me or Ash, I believe.
I remember when we brought Jay in, I spoke to him about what we're losing,
Yep.
as opposed to like we brought him in and we wasn't like, okay, well, this is what we're gaining. I spoke, okay, we're losing Assault. What did Assault bring us? He was our in-game leader. He's very vocal,
Mhm.
calling S&D strats in rounds. He mostly fell on his shoulders. So we're losing this, and to Jay, it wasn't okay. We're losing this. I need you to conjure up a way to do it. It was, we're losing this, but we're losing it because we know that you can do it. Like you said, you'd worked
Yeah.
with Jay before. I worked with him very briefly going into MW2 Challenger
Mhm.
Champs. So I knew that he had the ability to kind of be a like for like change for Adam in that situation. So I didn't want him to come in as, oh, I'm the rookie. Let me kind of just fall back and let my other teammates
Yeah. Let the like
take the
OGs do it,
off
and
the
I'm gonna just
bench.
do my
Yeah,
fucking thing. Like
I wanted him to know that like I've seen you do what Adam does, so I need you to step up to that level
he
because
stepped up instantly as like a elite caliber player. Like he didn't like come in and like, okay, we're having a fresh rookie. We need to teach him everything about like, you need how to be a good teammate and like how to like communicate. Like no, like he had those traits already because we knew like he had them. If it wasn't the case, we wouldn't have like fucking picked Jay in the first place,
yeah,
right?
agreed.
So like we knew what to expect in that way. And like even for as you said, right? Like Adam, for example, for prep was the most vocal guy that we had. Like
yeah,
every time we would prep a series or like prep a match, Adam would like cook up some strats and like be super active and like finding like new nade spots or like new
Yeah,
like smokes or whatever, right? And like Jay, as soon as we got into like our first matches, what did he do? He had a notepad out, and he took like notes
yeah,
on like other possessions and like he went in like a lobby with me, like practice nades and stuff. And I'm like, okay, boom, that guy, he knows what he's fucking doing, and like that's he wants like that shit. And he's like replacing Adam to the perfect extent. So like yeah, really happy with like the way Jay like came into the team, like add us like revive our season.
agreed.
I like it. All right, well then, kind of moving on from that, we spoke about roster change and
Yeah.
identifying issues, essentially, how you fix that with a roster change. Um, Day to day, how do you go about improving
Mhm.
your map pool? Certain maps after events. Specifically, like one comes to mind is major 3 to 4. We played Carolina on Vista in the
Yeah.
major, and that didn't go
Got
well for
cooked.
us. Yeah, it didn't go
Yeah.
well for us.
Mistake.
We play Ravens first match, major 4. Only a
Yeah.
week break or week and a half. We come back, we play them again on Vista, and we take it that time, and we end up taking the series 3-2, which ended up being a massive win for us. Right, it got us. It was a massive 10 points that put us in a better spot for that major 4, where we end up getting our top 3. So talk to me about improving map pool. How do you go about doing that as a coach staff?
Yeah. So before we even start about this, right? Like I want to talk about how you guys helped me like learning how to prepare better for like a stage or whatnot, because you guys had the league experience, right? So in challengers, you can have a really deep map pool because again the comp is like a bit like shittier or whatnot, right? But like when you have the best teams, you can like practice all the same maps like at the same level and like be really good at all of them. But like in the league, you need to have like your niche maps, or, like the maps are like your 2 or 3 maps that you can always win and like be really good at, right? And
Yeah.
for a long time, my goal was like to have the biggest map pool possible and like have all of our maps super good, right? But that was like a too big of a flow of information for the players, and it was super hard to like be really good at like specific maps, right? So then like y'all like sat me down there and like we're like, yo, Will, we're practicing like everything way too much and there's like too much happening. We need to like trim it down to like these 2 or 3 maps only, and like let's make these maps our fucking best shit possible. And like when we go into a series, we're super confident in like these 3 maps, right? Because one of those maps will probably be a veto, and then like we know like okay, some teams like will pick a map and we gotta like deal with it. We just gotta win our maps, right? And that was like the biggest thing like y'all taught me is like, bro, at the end of the day, we won't be the best at all the maps, but we gotta win our maps. So our focus was always on like specific maps going into like series or like weeks of practice or like months of practice, right? And as you brought up the Vista thing, we knew Vista was like a iffy pick for us on Major 3. We're like not too good, but we're decent, but like not too good at it, right? And before bringing Jay in the team, that was our best map by far. Like we were super good at Vista. We bring Jay, turn to like kind of iffy, whatever. Go into Major 4. Was it Major 4? Right, it was Major 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
major 4 is where we ended up
Qualifiers.
playing it, and
Yeah, so going into major 4, we knew okay, throughout this major we're gonna play the map, guaranteed. Like we're gonna play a lot of teams on Vista, like people like switching their vetoes and like whatnot, and like we have to focus on our vistas really bad because we're not that bad at it. We just like have a few flow mistakes, and like if we adjust, we can actually like take teams to like the wire, or, like just win the map. So we knew okay, this map is gonna be played at least in 3 series or 4 series. Let's make this map like our best shit, and like let's make our Karachi like still really good because we had a really good Karachi. So we had like focuses on like 3 maps maybe, like Karachi, Vista, and like I don't know, like Rio, right? Maybe Rio,
sub
and
base,
then like
sub base play
but
more.
sub base was like at the end of the season, like we kind of
We fell
revamped
off.
it for like champs.
Yeah.
But like the truth is, we actually got blessed throughout the season because we were so good at sub base early that throughout the whole year, people like feared our sub base really bad. And at some point, we were kind of shit at sub base, not gonna lie. But people would still veto it against us like the whole year, so like we got blessed in that way.
The same thing
But
happened in high-res S&D. People thought that we
exactly,
loved high-res S&D, but we actually didn't want to play it for like a stage and a half.
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, we only picked after major 2. We only picked sub base once the entire year, but people kept banning
yeah,
it against us, and we were sitting there like just
yeah.
laughing, like, great, like,
Please, like,
thank
keep doing
you,
your shit, boys.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
like, thank you so fucking much.
We're
Like,
gonna take
we
a free
love you.
veto.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
I mean,
Um,
the same as with high-res. After major 2, we picked high-res twice. High-res S&D.
yeah, yeah.
We like stopped playing those maps because we slumped into them. But like that's the benefit of like trimming down your map pool, like condensing it, because like eventually teams are going to start banning one map against you, or 1 or 2 different maps against
Mhm.
you, and then that allows you to then focus on other maps, and naturally you start to see improvements on another map, and out of the blue you
Mhm.
start to go, okay, actually we're pretty good at this map. We put in subtle
Yeah,
improvements
and I
time and
will
time
say,
again.
like obviously for a top 4 team, like we would approach the situation differently. Because like if you're on a top 4 team, you need to have that deep map pool to like go into these finals and like have the best of 7 series like mapped out and like have all these maps like being really good maps for you. But for us,
Great.
that was not the goal. Like we have 5 maps a series and we need to take 3. That's it. So let's make a few maps really fucking good to the point where like we can play any team on it and be like really confident. And then you look at like obviously some may say like Ultra had a bad series against us on Major 3, But like the reality of it is, our Karachi was insane. Like we were so good at Karachi because we worked on Karachi so bad, so much, and we felt like we had no flaws on Karachi in our macro. Like our macro aspect of the game on that map was like perfect in our opinion at that stage of the season. And the only thing that like could stop us is like if we lose gunfights or like we misplace ourselves on the map or like we have bad micro positioning. Like all these things would like be the biggest factor, and it was the whole year for us on all the maps, right? Obviously. Um,
Even the top four teams had auto. Like FaZe auto vetoed
exactly.
sub his
Yeah.
hardpoint for the whole year. Ultra vetoed high res S&D for the whole year.
Yep.
I think New York didn't like Karachi control, and who's the one team missing out? So, I said
Did you say optic?
Optic. Yeah, no, Optic didn't like what was it, like a
Didn't like
Vista,
the iRise
a Rio
control for a long
hardpoint?
time. They started playing it at the end of the year.
Oh yeah, you're right. They had a stage where they just kept banning high res control. Rio S&Ds, they didn't really like that for a little bit.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think a lot of teams had like these auto veto situations where you knew what was coming because they were trimming themselves down too, right? Um, yeah, I mean, basically took our experience from the first year of the league, and yeah, you took the feedback on board.
And yeah, and again, like ways of approaching like that specific practice, like even in the morning, it would only be like, okay, specific map focus. Like early in the season, it was not the case. Like early in the season, it was like a bunch of maps, a bunch of hills, like super like messed up and like hard to understand for the players. Like at the end of the year, it was more so like super focused and like super like, okay, today it's only P3s on Karachi or like it's only like Karachi as a whole. But like at least, or sometimes it was like just like flow on that map in particular. But it was always super focused to the point where like the players could always like understand, okay, that's like what we need to work on today. And like when we go into the Karachi, if like let's say for example, we're gonna like 90% throughout the whole day of scrims, well in that Karachi we need to go 100% because like this is the map we want to focus on today, and we need to like apply these things. And then like after scrims, like it would stem into, okay, we prep for Karachi. We're gonna rewatch Karachi after the scrims, and it's like the whole day was about Karachi, and then like that would like elevate our Karachi a lot. And then the day after, well, we would like go to another map or whatnot, or like switch to like something different, right? And then a few days after, boom, go back to Karachi, like always elevate the map. So like I really like the way we approach like the whole thing for the most part, yeah.
I like it. I like it. I mean, at least in my role, it's a bit less hands off in terms of day to day. Mine was more like the weekly reports, right? Like I was giving you
Yep.
guys your weekly reports, checking in with you two in terms of what is your focus for the week. If this map is the focus, let me give you guys all the numbers breakdown, all the statistics. We did our guerrilla guessaroos,
Yeah.
where
It's really fun.
we're building in
Talk
stat.
about that actually.
I
Just
mean,
show like the different ideas, right? Because
yeah,
like we had a bunch of ideas throughout the season. Talk about the Geseru.
yeah. I mean, so guessaroo was, um, you're providing stats to players. At least my first year, when I was on the Mutineers, it was you're giving these stats to the team, and how much are they implementing it? How much are they actually using it? It's also boring. Like talking about numbers all the time. It's actually quite
Yep.
quite boring. So Gorilla Guessaroo was a little game. I can pull it up on the side, but a little game we played, um, where essentially we'd have a topic, for example, our average hardpoint hill times. Nice and simple. And we get all the players, I'd spin a wheel, and it would be, for example, Diamond Con, and Diamond Con would have to guess out of like 5 options. He'd have to place P1, we get 30 seconds. P2, we get 20. P4, whatever. But he'd have to give me his reasoning. So not just put them down, whatever. He'd be like, well, I feel like our P1s are really strong because we hold it like this, or I feel like our P2s have really been bad because there's a lot of times where we're not rotating early. I'm catching us not being there. And then once they give all the context, we'll then reveal the answer, the actual statistics. And a lot of the times, the reason why this worked was it made players think about the entire map and the flow of the map, while placing their answers. And then giving them the results, they were sometimes quite shocked that they either got it right or wrong. And if they got it wrong, they were like, "Wait, we're really bad at P5. Like I didn't know that." And then they start
Yeah.
to
And then we
question
would
it.
work on P5.
You can
Yeah.
then show them a simple example of it, and then our coaching staff would then draw that in for the rest of the week. This worked sometimes great. Other times, it didn't work as much because you can only do something so much before novelty
Yeah.
wears off, and that's why you said you have new ideas, you start to play new games, you start playing new variations. Um,
Yeah.
but that's
Not
like
like making like everything super like, linear, like always the same thing. It's good to like change and like add different games and whatnot. Like we even had the spawns one, right? Where like we would have gyassos of like spawns, and like for well, that was early in the season. Obviously, we
Yeah.
need the spawns at the end of the year, but like early in the season, it was like, okay, boys, we need to learn the fucking spawns here. Let's fucking have a bunch of clips and like with level of difficulty from like the hardest like spawn to read, so, like the easiest ones, and then like let's do like the wheel. So boom, it's Adam. Yo, Adam, look at this clip here and tell me where number 6 spawns. So boom, you reads that really cool. Like, and then if you didn't get it, then we would explain like why. So here, this guy is blocking this spawn because it's like this quadrant or whatever, and then, like that's why the spawn happened. So it was like really interactive and like good ways of like having the players involved in like creative ways. You know, I feel like sometimes COD is super monotone, or like super like shut up and strict, and it can be. I don't think like every team needs to be super like funny and like having. But I think like the way we approached it was super like interesting at least, and like it would make like things cool and like people would look forward to like these type of like little games, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I liked it
exactly.
because, like, obviously we're working with competitive players. Like, they want to be the best.
Yeah,
So when you start pitting them against each other, like the spawn one, I remember because
it was good.
Justice got something wrong, and then like we gave out like a reward or something for the number one player. And Justice was like, "Damn, like I'm not gonna win now." And then like Adam's like chirping him for the rest of the day, like, "Come on,
It
Justice, you
was
gotta
good. It
remember
was
that
good.
spawn." And it's like it just builds up that rivalry between the players a little bit of competitiveness. It's quite fun. But it's like
Yeah.
an example of like a guessery, but some stuff that we do just to try paint pictures for our players. Different than the day-to-day sort of weekly report where you just give them some charts, a simple dashboard.
Mhm.
That I think is quite common in league. Obviously, we don't know what everyone does. We just kind of
Yeah.
stay in our
And
bubble.
we can kind of like transition into like also what we would do like in the mornings for like example on days where we felt like the players had like really bad energy or like on the day prior like we got let's take for example the day prior boys we played Faze in New York and got fucking 0 and 12 in scrims or 0 and fucking 16. We didn't win a fucking map because it didn't happen like that often, but it happened sometimes, right? For example, like we had a really poor fucking day of scrim. And then it's like, okay, the day after, let's fucking just play games. Like people like don't want to fucking hear about like we made a billion fucking mistakes. Like let's just play like a scribble yo in the morning. Like let's just get the vibes up and then we can talk about the game a little bit and then like go into like warm ups and whatnot. And I feel like sometimes when we felt like we didn't need to really watch the game, but like more so just get the vibes up, hey, let's fucking play a game. Let's get like the team like on the same page. Or we even had this patch of time or like throughout the year where we would like just debate on stuff. Like the Kendrick versus Drake debate. That was really fun. And the players would get involved in that. Or like we would talk about other stuff such as like just basic questions with us like yo guys where would you guys want to like travel in the future and why and like talk about like all these
Yeah.
like little things and it would be always like really interactive and like fun to be a part of like the day to day like in that way is like you don't know what you're like gonna expect in the morning, but like sometimes when you need it like you'll have that like way of having those good vibes for the day. So I think we like balance that really well.
I mean, it was Ari's infamous. Ari would come up with a random question like,
Bro,
"What's your
it
favorite
was
Disney
always that. Yo,
movie?" And then
Ari,
it's a
what's the
debate.
question of the day, Ari? Ari, what's the question of the day, boy? And then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, yo, like if you could be any other job, what would it be? I don't
Yeah,
know, fucking
but
like
that
a
that's
conductor or
that's
something.
what it is, though, right? It's like
Yeah,
these guys are doing this every day. Again, remote working meant when we're on Discord and TeamSpeak with these guys, it's talking about the game, like, and then it can always be like a hammer nailing the same nail into the coffin. Like we're talking about the same stuff every day. It gets quite triggering, gets quite annoying. Changing up the flow, learning about our players a little bit more, like little things here and there. That just builds that rapport, that relationship, that team chemistry. It, you know, less is more is what Matt Fish kind of preaches sometimes as well.
yeah.
And that was we tried to implement that whenever we could. Obviously, priority number one is being good at the game, but sometimes you got to take sideways steps to go
Sometimes you
forward.
don't need to talk about the game to be good at the game. Sometimes it's just like a mental thing, and I think
Yeah,
like in reality, like 80% of the game is actually mental.
yeah,
Like obviously we can talk about how much like understanding everything matters, and it does. Everything matters. Like at some level, like knowledge does matter, or like your gun skill or whatnot. But like the mental aspect of the game is actually everything, genuinely everything. Which is why
yeah,
I preached super hard in my first meeting with management this year. I want to be involved with Matt Fisher or like Adam as esports in general. I want to have a performance coach because one, I need it for myself. I want to get better and I want to be like a better coach and help the players like be better version of themselves. But like I need to like have a step up in my like own career. Like I need to become or understand like coaching to like a psychological level, way more than like what I was used to. So it was super important for us to allocate like some kind of budget into like having Matt or someone from Adamas work with us, and we made it happen. And like it's for me one of the most important things from this year. Like when we talk about success, right? And that was a success for me. Is like having the chance to work with like Matt was a big success for me because
Yeah.
if we didn't, maybe we would have missed out on a lot of our like for our careers. And I think like for you guys, you became like mentors. Same for me. Like I really believe that like Matt for like actually helped me in my career, like develop and like value different like values that, like are really super important for coaches and like find new ways and ideas to like approach coaching to like not be like a dinosaur coach, but more so like a new gen and like more um like like almost like a sports level,
Yeah. Pushing the
like a
boundaries.
football coach.
Pushing the
Yeah,
boundaries.
exactly. Pushing boundaries of like COD coaching because it can be super monotone and like super like you just need to like push this fucking cut and like do this here and like being a dickhead about it. No, like there's many ways and like layers of like coaching and like having Matt with us explaining to us like how like his experience and stuff is super valuable. So
Yeah. I
100%.
think
yeah,
Matt as well gave us the idea of he gave us the idea where we talked a lot about energy when coaching too. Like sometimes
yep,
like it's often frowned upon when like you're the coach, you're expected to like we're talking about players having bad days too, but as a coach, you can have a bad day of energy too.
exactly.
And we trialed like splitting the scrim blocks where we had
Yep.
you would take the two PMs and I would take the 4:30s and it was like where naturally as a coach, I mean we'll do it all the time where when you're watching, you're after maps, you're looking at mistakes, you're looking at how to improve. And like that was the way in which that your scrim blocks would go at twos, and then I'll take the 4:30s, and it would be like taking what you took from the two as a mistake, one to fix on, and I would look at it in a positive way, or look at like, oh guys, we've done this really well, and we're focusing on
The
just what
change
we
of
did well on.
dynamic was really
Yeah,
important, right? Yeah,
especially yeah, is that as well, like just changing dynamic too, because you might find where like if one coach is just talking for an entire week and the week of scrims isn't going well, the players you're starting to feel like the same sort of feeling all the time. But we were switching the dynamic around left, right, and center and having like completely different like feelings to the scrims, where you'd have like two PMs where the players are being super proactive and leading discussions forward because they're hearing a different voice in you. And we're having on
yeah.
some days the 4:30s, which are really proactive and energetic and this like new breath of fresh air where it's not like an entire day, but we split it out. And we just saw like a lot more productivity, a lot higher efficiency as
Yep.
well in our scrims. And our results were really good in scrims. They increased by like tenfold. I think we went like unbeaten against bottom 8 teams for like a good period of time in scrims. Um, and it was like just a really fun time to be around. I think because
Yeah.
we tried something completely different.
100%. And then even on you guys talk about all this stuff like changing dynamic, culture, energy. Like, if that isn't right, there is 0 point for me to do my job, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Like, why would I bring up a stat to a player? Imagine a player's going through the worst time of his life. He's not enjoying being around the team. He's not enjoying the environment. Why am I going to go up to him and say, "Hey, I need you to work on X, Y, Z. I need you to get your KD up, your kills up, your damage up, whatever. We need to focus on this." Like the player isn't even the players as a collective. They're not even working together in the first place. So we're not going to get the end goal. So without like that culture piece being right, we can't even do step 2, 3, and 4 about improving our
Exactly.
map or improving our team. That's why it's so important that we made sure to always keep ourselves accountable and hold each other accountable, making sure that we're putting the players first and our culture first before anything else, and then we see progress. And
And
um,
see,
yeah, it's really important.
funnily enough, like people see culture as like, yo, we need to have vibes. For example, right? A lot of people think like culture is, yo, we need a team that's fucking vibey, or like people will vibe each other. No, it's like having the same set of values and like trusting the same process and having the same way of like approaching what a team is, right? This is like what
Yeah,
culture is for me. And bro, some teams might not be about vibes. Like think about complexity, right? Cole was not about vibes. Cole was about, bro, we need to win everything because this is the only way for us to live. Like we need to make money. And like for us, like, if they were toxic as fuck, it was okay because their end goal was like, we don't care about our fucking vibes or whatnot. It's all about fucking winning. And like in that, they would like understand each other. So like I don't know. I wasn't on those team obviously, but like Pat and Krim, bro, were probably fucking cooking each other and shit, right? But like the truth is, like that was beneficial for them because that was their culture. And some teams, like I even watched an interview recently of like a R6 coach, right, Rainbow Six coach, and he was talking about how this culture was not about having vibes necessarily, but more so like about being toxic. Like the players in themselves, like were naturally toxic, so he
that's
wanted
the
to make
same.
sure like they kept being toxic and like kept being like kind of trolly and like nobody expected that team to be really really good. I don't know the name of that team, but whatever. Like nobody thought they would be good, and they ended up being fucking insane and like win a major like in Manchester. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's because like their culture was let's keep being who we are, let's keep being toxic, let's keep being like these fucking like funny ass blokes, just fucking like like that was like the way of like approaching their culture. But like you don't need like not everyone is like the same culture. You need to like adapt your culture based on like the team that you have and like the players that you have.
I mean, you
And
see
for
with
us, it was like exactly go for it.
well, no, you see with Faze, right? Like Faze when they were at their peak this year, right? It's when they were trolling, shooting bodies, and then
Yeah, exactly. Full
and
confidence.
so much confidence, right? But like obviously they get the EWC win, doesn't work out at champs, but like when those guys are confident and they believe in their culture, their brotherhood is strong, they're gonna play their best. But if that's off, like how are they gonna expect to get results? That piece needs to be right first. I think and then one of the teams that again work with Adamas and some of the stuff that Matt Fish preaches probably has got through to them as well. So
Think about New York, right?
right,
When
yeah,
New York
hundred
plays their
percent,
best COD, you see them laughing and joking around and like Caesar just like is in game chat like fucking yapping and like like and they're just like having so much fucking fun and that's their culture. At least I
yeah,
believe. I'm not in the camp, but
yeah,
them having a lot of fun and like having that good energy. Like I think Troy's a big part of that. Like Troy being super energetic at all times helps them like elevating that culture and being in like that state of mind always. He does an amazing job at that. Like from working behind the scenes, like seeing like Troy's energy, I understand why these guys are so fucking like energetic and like super happy when they fucking go on the stage because Troy brings that to them. And I think like that's like again big part of like culture. You have to fit onto like your team, like the players that you have. Some teams will show no emotions. Like they will go on stage, show no emotions, but fucking cook you. And like you can't do anything about it. But like that's their mindset is like we go in, we're so fucking locked in, and like that's because this is who we are as a team. We like it's again team identity. And I think again New York found their team identity. I think FaZe as well. Same probably for Optic, and we did in our own way. For us, like it was about like being super like a family almost,
yeah,
and like being a really tight group of friends. That was like the way of like bringing our culture. But like see when went into the season, like people were like, these guys are like fucking school friends or whatever, or like they're
yeah.
all fucking friends and
Friendship
like
cheese.
fucking friendship cheese or whatnot, bro. That worked for us. Like shit, we could have been like the worst fucking enemies and still make it work, but, like with a different fucking approach to this shit, right? But like that was our approach. It's like we're close friends. Let's abuse that fact and like make it our fucking like whole identity, and it
Yeah,
fucking worked out. At least it worked out as best as we could. Fucking make it happen. 2 top 6s, 1 top 3, like pretty good fucking placings, dude. It worked out because of like that identity. So yeah,
100%, 100%. I mean, hey, um, let's move on to the next topic, right?
I
Um,
love Yappin. Holy shit.
I mean, the next topic was
Yeah.
how do you think we adapted?
Yeah.
Um, how do you think we adapted as a coaching staff? We spoke about
I
some
think we
stuff
touched on
briefly.
that.
Yeah, we did, but um,
Skip that
any
next
extra?
one.
Skip it. Bit
Yeah,
perfect.
next one.
We could have
um,
touched on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Alright, so then preparation. Um,
Yes, sir.
we spoke about a little bit about the preparation we do, but we wanted to highlight this a bit more. How would we prepare for
Mhm.
our matches? Right, that was our scrim week. We kind of just went on about, but our matches were a whole different ball game. That's game time.
I'll try and make it short to leave the place for Ari to talk about it because I feel like this is like his field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I think one thing that we did right is like going into weeks of practice, we knew obviously our matches like way ahead of time. So we would practice the week like leading into the match. So like we would practice certain maps harder than others because we knew okay, going into the series, we will play these maps. And that's because Ari and Ash, like you guys would bring up the stats and like would be like, okay, we will play these maps for sure, so let's practice them, or like at least better, like focus the practice on that.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to like actual in-day practice, um, I kind of like want to let Ari kind of shine on this one because I think like this is a way of like doing like his best work to me is like his preparation. So if you want to take over, you
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of my. Well, when we started the season as well, we kind of had the conversation of what we're going to be doing as a coaching staff, and
Mhm.
and I kind of noticed there's a gap in the way that teams prep at the moment, or the way that I think at least most teams prep at the moment, or the way that I was even prepping when I was a part of LAG in the NW2 season. I thought it was like fundamentally wrong. It was too short sighted. and there was like far bigger risk than reward. So I basically sat down with you guys and I was like, I have this like insane idea. I don't really know how I'm gonna make it work. I want to like do this, and it's gonna be like my biggest thing that I'm gonna touch on. It's gonna help us when we're going in matches. Like just trust the process. But one thing we wanted to do was live and die by I've been a part of teams that like prepare for certain matches, don't prepare for others, and I think that's wrong as well. We set the rule that we're going to prepare for every match no matter what, unless there was like a complete random situation, like we're playing a team that completely switched out all 4 of their players, so we have nothing to prep, for example. But we were going to prep for every game, um and we were all under the like agreement that the preparation helps us far more than it would ever put us in a negative, and we're going to win a lot more series than it will lose us series, because sometimes you can prep and it can go wrong. So basically, I guess we always are like showing it out. But yeah, the way that I used to prep, which is the way that I think current teams prep, is you'll do your vetoes, you'll do your map set, and an hour before the match is typically when that happens. So you have this hour window of watching back teams' S&Ds. There's 2 S&Ds in a series, so in an hour, a coach is getting maybe what 2 to 4, maybe like so 2 maps each, probably of each map, where they're able to watch it back and like really take in any sort of learnings, right? So like that to me is like fundamentally wrong. You're spending an hour watching 4 different VODs of matches, and you think that you're gonna find the patterns. You think that you're gonna actually find something like
Yeah.
that's guaranteeing your team's success. I mean, you probably will find a couple things if as you know, like we're the highest knowledge skill people in the scene at the moment. But I just think it's fundamentally wrong. So what I wanted to do was prep for every single team in the league, every round of S&E that was played, because I got the idea basically from doing that to my own team in the MW2 season. I tracked every single round that we played at some point, about halfway through the season, because I wanted to understand um, stats like who's getting the first blood, and if someone is getting the first blood, who's giving the pick back, or if we get first blooded, who's going to go out there and get the pick back? Like statistically, what are we looking like? Because I think that you can find a lot of like cool little stats from details like that. I wanted to know like if we get first blood, are we planting the bomb efficiently enough? Which bomb site are we stronger at going towards? And I want to do stats like that. So basically, yeah, this is the example of our S&D round tracker that we done for this year. It's pretty much the carbon copy of what we had for what I did for last year, where I'm tracking basically like who we're killing, or who's getting the kill, who's getting us into a 3v3, if we're planting the bomb, and basically you can find cool stats on the side like our 4v2 win percentages, our 4v3 win percentages. I wanted to know basically like how much we're scamming, and how much these rounds are going to be guaranteed. So I wanted to adopt this idea and apply it to every league team as if I was their coach, so I can use it for, more importantly, what position of the map they're playing. So actually, if you like go over to our actual our S&D prep sheet, so this is the S&D prep sheet and how we prepped going forward for every single series. Actually, if you
Can I stop you there?
on,
Just to
yeah,
like paint a picture, because you mentioned like how teams do it, and this is genuinely how it happens for a lot of league teams. Like, no bullshit. This happens behind the scenes, whether people like it or not. Everyone sees it happen. You'll be on some sort of thing, IOU turtle, something. You put up GG breaking point, for example. Map picks, map vetoes, map records. Okay, they're struggling on this map. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna play XYZ. They're gonna do the veto process. Sit down with the PRCs, do the veto process. They have that hour window, and this is exactly what they'll do. Not saying this is exactly what Legion do, just an example. They'll go matches. They'll just go click on the latest matches. For example, they'll just click about. They'll find the map. Let's say they are gonna play a 6-star S&D. They'll just pull up the VOD. They'll be like, okay, you know what? I'll pull up the VOD. They'll go watch it. 6-star S&D for Legion versus Optic. Legion Optic. And then you get this coming up, right? They'll scroll over to the S&D. This is invasion, but they'll scroll over and then you just see them frantically do this. And you see it every time you walk past the PPAs. Alright, round 1. skip 10 seconds. Cool. They do this setup right. Round 2. What do? They go towards B. Okay, this guy carries bomb. Great. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit again. Round 3, and they do that so on, and then they go onto stage and give the info to the players and pray. Hopefully that works.
Yeah.
Ari, talk to us why what you did different.
Yeah, so for our matches, basically we had the deadline early doors of a day before our matches, but we also trialed a week before, so we'd have it ready on the Monday. So it's ready for the Tuesday when we get back from our day off. If you just like scroll down here, Ash, you can see like do like a scroll down, a little scroll up, was like every single round that LAT Faze played and every single position that player played was tracked for every single map, basically, and tracked for qualifiers, tracked for LAN. If we could use LAT for example, so it looks extremely messy now because it's all tracked. So like Ash said, like coaches will just skip through. Okay, this is all just data on a sheet. What do you do then? So just taking kind of the analytical background of it, you can easily just create a filter, and set the map to high rise, Ash. You just want to clear all high rise and set the side to defense only, please. And then you start to clean this data up a little bit, where you can start to see, for example, Dan is always playing around that B Street, around the B Street window. He has a couple rounds where maybe he's not there. You can see that they're kind of anomalies to the data, right? So you start to treat these players like data points, like touch points, and you start to look at like where the guarantees are going to be. And the mindset for me was, I'm going to help my players by giving them the guarantees in people's setup, giving them the consistent plays, and we're going to use ordnance at the start of the season, or we're going to use nades, or we're going to just outwork that side of the map and look for this certain player for a blood, because this is where that player is comfortable.
Yep.
So you have a LA Thieves up, for example, and they're a kind of perfect example because they're a team that we beat every single time we played them, especially on LAN on S&D. I think we lost S&D 2 times to them, and it was in the same series, an online qualifier. But we always matched up well against them in S&D, and the reason was because we always go in with a set game plan. For the most part, it was to target Joe, for example, because I felt like he was super consistent in his plays. So if we go to the LAG Major 4 high rise, it's probably my favorite of them all. Round 1. We knew that Joe. No, dude, that's I guess this is subliners.
Oh,
we knew. Yeah, it's no, down. Yeah, LAG.
Color threw me off.
So we knew, if you just like pause it here, we knew that Joe, who's on defense, the red side, he'll be number 4. Go back to the VOD. He would always play low and be their underground player. And what Joe typically liked to do was he'd play low pretty late, but then he'd jump into that B tower corner. So we always knew that if we see Joe cross and play for that tower corner, then low is completely open. It's the gap. If we don't see him cross into that tower corner, then the B side's completely open for us to take. And we could probably lay the bomb for free as long as we have that B street control. So you'll see us round 1 go for use our prep. We watch the cross. It's Kev and Estriel. They're both trying to watch the cross together here. And if you kind of tick it forward, 1 tick, maybe 2, yeah, you're gonna notice that Joe actually like ends up creeping into this tower corner. Pause it. We see Joe enter the tower corner, and that's when we know, like, okay, nobody's gonna be low. So we had a step 2 in play of, we're gonna smoke out, we're gonna hit the low from underneath. And I think Justice called the play perfectly of go underneath, Kev follow me up, and we're gonna hit him from where you can't see. And Jay actually makes a really good play of being top helicopter to look over their top metal steps, is what we called it. So you'll see immediately round 1 our preparation come into play. We saw Joe cross into this tower corner multiple times when we were doing the prep, and you'll see Justice jump up behind him, kill Joe, and essentially give us a 4v2 right off rip. And I mean, you can pause it. What that does for us is basically just guarantee the round. So that is just one example of how we prepared our S&D, and how we prepared to like counter certain teams and counter certain players, give us like basically 3 round wins, 3 first bloods. Because once you do that, once you get a first blood, especially at league level, I think it gives your team the kind of keys to go ahead and win the round, because first blood is kind of everything. After that, it's just a trading fest of out trading each other. And one thing that I really wanted us to work on is the amount of information that we fed to the team, because over the course of the season, right, like I'm prepping 12 different teams every single map. I'm writing down notes on every single team. There's probably 20 things a map that I want to say about a certain team that I know that they're going to do. Or when I'm watching a game, I'm like, oh, I knew they were going to do this, or I knew they were going to do that. um but I have to like limit the amount of information I give to my players to the ones that I think is going to be the most impactful and the most useful. So where I have 15 to 20 data points a map, we're probably ending up telling the players 3 to 5 different data points going into any map. And as we're going through the prep the day before or even the week before, the players are also finding the other like 10 data points that I was missing out on purpose. They're finding that naturally because they're watching the VOD back just like I was, and they're saying, "Oh, like I'm noticing this, I'm noticing that, and this is key information for me." So then they're starting to segregate the information that I've told them as guarantees, and then they're also like naturally having information go to them. So it just sticks a little bit better, and it's just a lot more natural and a lot more efficient in the ways that we prep. Um, I
I
mean,
don't know
yeah,
if
I think. Go on, Will.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I really like that one prep that moment that we had. I think it was against Faze online, and I want to talk about
Yep.
like the mindset of like that series, because Faze at that time was like on their biggest streak of the season. They were like 11-0 or something like crazy like win streak in series, and we hadn't won a series the whole stage. So they obviously thought we were like a vulnerable team, and I can't guarantee for sure, but I don't know like how much they actually prepped for that series. But we prepped a shit ton because we knew like, okay, FaZe is gonna be vulnerable right now. Like this is the moment we can take them down. Um, we're gonna get the maps that we want in, and then so we prepped super hard, and like we kind of like started reading like their tendencies like extremely well, and like we knew, okay, they probably won't change, especially on iRise. But not iRise, but Invasion. If you go to Invasion, I think was it round one or whatever when Adam
Round
had that like little creek play that
on
we
three.
found out. So
Yep.
going into the series, we prepped like plays for like Adam to like places like for Adam to play in, where he could watch pinches, and like we knew they would play retakes because they would just go mid like all the time, and like play that like mid setup here that we can see. They would like
Yeah.
set up in that setup and like leave B completely open at the time, allowing teams to like take B control, and they would just play for retakes. And like that, this really like strict way of like retaking where like Draza would go or whoever would go in DVD and stuff, and like that they would like super like readable in the way they would play the retake. So we would
Yeah.
have Adam play that one spot if you just play the round. Yeah, so you'll see like we get our info, we take B, we don't see anything B, nobody crossed. So okay, we take the site, and we know when we see Simp here, okay, they're back to their usual. So Adam plays that setup. Now you guys will see. He just creaks the door open. People like didn't really like clear that like at the time. Like plays like a really deep angle on it, and like here you can see like not really well, but Adam could see like draws across, and then off of that you'll see like Connor react here. Um, Adam comes for Draza, Connor plays for him, and then like they would double go around. Adam would probably like play for sound cues here, and then like as you guys will see, I think we lose a one here either on bomb or like yeah, Cell isolates Justice, but then like Adam gets a free pick here. We're in a 3v2. We add trade front, expecting like Simp to be around here. And then it ends up being a 1v1. We lose gunfights, but like we clutch out the situation because we get the first pick, you know? And as Ari said, it's always about getting the first pick. We knew like their tendencies, we got the first pick, and then at that point, you just gotta like apply your S&D concepts and just play COD. Like
Yeah.
we did our part, we did the prep so that like, they could actually get into those positions, and then they just have to do their job and just ice up the round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also worth noting as well, like we did this from day one of the stage. And major one, we had a real big problem of one, like the data wasn't big enough for us to kind of go off a lot of guarantees. But also we threw a lot of mid rounds. Like we played Rocker for top four, and we should have 6-1 them. Like if you're looking at the map holistically, we should have 6-1 them for top four on the terminal game 5. But we end up losing 6-3 because we played our mid rounds really poorly. And that's where we took on the help of G Bursted,
Yeah.
where he like immediately came in. We told him what our struggles was of we're throwing away these mid rounds, and he came in and like really helped us fix our mid round
Yep.
S&D to the point where like we felt super confident in the mid rounds, because S&D to me is played in sequences. You have this kind of like initial stage of like gathering the info, then you might get a first blood, and every time a kill goes down in S&D, that's like the end of a sequence where you'll see like something reset on the map, and teams in those and the end of those sequences, you should start preaching as a coaching staff to that's when you need to guys need to come together, the next step, the next plan, because you need to be ahead of these sequences and you need to react quicker than your opposing team.
Yeah.
And G Bursted came in and helped us massively with our mid rounds to the point where we worked on it, and that's where we kind of went on an S&D win streak during Major 2. We used prep really early on. Teams were probably neglecting it, and pardon me, yeah. After that, G Bursted just came in and helped our mid rounds massively. We felt super
And I
confident in
think
all aspects
we
of
had,
it.
we had the perfect like match of like really good prep to like get those bloods, and then like have John coming in and like helping us with the mid rounds will like make the perfect match, and then we just showed it like in the major
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
And I think like I want to give John his flowers. Like when it like like how people say you can't teach SND. I think like you can't really like teach instincts to a certain extent. Like you can actually teach like SND fundamentals as much as you can teach like art point fundamentals. I think you can do that, and I think John was like the perfect example of that. You can actually teach the right way of like playing SND, depending on the game, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, and he helped us like tremendously, like having a fixed mindset or just a mindset, for S and D, and like having an identity in our play, I would say, right? And
Yeah.
then we found that
yeah,
identity and we just applied it, and we always like throughout the year force those concepts in our gameplay. Like for example, like I won't explain all the concepts of like islands and rappers or like being together, like wolf packing, all these like little things. We worked on super hard, and like throughout the year it helped us like tremendously. Even when we
yeah.
didn't get picks, like sometimes our prep didn't like always work, but like when it didn't work, we still had like these concepts to bounce back on, which helped us like a lot. So
Yeah,
shout out
and
to John.
even as well, like, I was gonna say like he was massive for me because where me and Ash had like a regular 9 to 5, and then we're going into the second half of the day where we're coaching. It didn't give us a lot of time to actually play the game or even like dive into stuff. So he was massive. If I was trying to come up with a strat, like I can see something on the mini map and I think like this could work. He was big in like, okay, John, does this timing make sense? Like, does this actually make sense, or am I like wrong before I go and present this to the team? Like, am I right in this strat? Can you see this working? Have you seen something like this happen when you're playing S&D? And he was massive in that aspect too, and like creating, like helping, because I love creating counter strats. So he was massive in like validating the counter strats before I actually
Yeah,
showed them to the
the
players.
timing
I
understanding
mean,
and
I got
stuff.
a perfect example where like, um, so we like the prep, counter strat, everything here, the sequencing,
Yeah, go for it.
um, where like LAT playing Miami, we know we're gonna play Terminal, so we've been working on it, working on it, working on it. We get it in against them, and we know that they play this setup where they get bombed down, and they only use one trophy just to push up towards site. And then once bomb goes down, which you'll see here, they sit on site, right? Um, and that was, we were like, okay, number one plays really deep, and then they just bomb rush site. So what can we do to prevent that? So throughout the week, we worked on getting library control and using our timing. And John worked really meticulously with the team around going library as a double sub duo, which wasn't being done that often at the time. And we did it. But as soon as Adam gets the info here, oh, they're doing their play. Now we're in a perfect position for step two, which step two was, well, they don't have trophies on site. Let's do it, guys. Everyone throw nades, and this is where you end up seeing the infamous sort of. We get, I think, 3 nade kills straight away, and everyone just cooks their nades onto site. We fly at site, we get kills, and you can see like this game is 4-0 at this point, but every round before then was pretty much like a counter strat. Like I think even round one, um, instantly like we spawn into the map. We know Dan from prior rounds. Dan likes to play top AC, in the start of rounds and stuff. So we literally just cooked the double nade up, and that's where John he goes in. He finds these nade spots. We use ordnance. We cook these nades up, and it hits Dan. And for the rest of the game, Dan was so scared to play top AC because we worked that blood straight away and we had nades for it. So that way, like, they're uncomfortable. We know what we know how we're gonna approach the game, and we're gonna follow a lead. And
Yeah.
um, I find it funny because even like
I mean, getting a pick like that right off the start of the game, it basically validates that the prep is correct too. So for the players, they're going in like full confidence. Like, okay, I know exactly what the setup is going in now. Like we should know exactly what's going on. And for LAT in that situation, they're thinking, damn, they know what we're doing. We don't know what they're doing. So we're going in just like a step ahead. Where now they're having to
Yeah.
cook up something they've never done before, or they have to stick to what they know and know that we know
Yeah.
what they're doing.
And it forces teams to like, like having to adapt. Like
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
forced into like going into their game plan and like shut it down completely. Like, okay, now we have to play off instincts, right? So
Yeah,
like,
100%.
yeah.
What were you gonna say, Ash?
I mean that's where we end up losing that series, right? Well, we win that terminal, and then we go to LAN. We play Thieves round one. We get high rise in, and everyone in the community is going, "Why'd you play the high rise? Why'd you play them on high rise when high rise is one of their better maps?" And even JCat replies to it. He's like, "I mean, they world started us on terminal like a week ago. Like, why are we gonna play them on that again?" And it's like we didn't care what map they picked because we were so confident in our prep work that we knew we were gonna come out with a result in that map. It came down to securing that map 3, and then we work on that, and that's why you saw our LAN performances get really good as well. Like we were saving some stuff sometimes, and that's where points are really
Setting
good.
maps, literally.
Yeah,
Like,
literally. Like we go. This was a crazy one for me. Is we banned 6-star the whole time, but we were quietly confident on 6-star. Like we knew what we want to do. We play it against Ultra, Major 4. We get the dub, and people are like, "What the hell happened?" Like we were quietly confident. Like we're working on our map pool as much as the top teams do it. Like we're working on our map pool sometimes. So yeah,
like really
um,
like strategically.
yeah,
Like we had like a really strategic approach to like the way
Yeah.
we're working on maps. And like again, just to the terminal thing, like we barely played terminal before. Well, actually, we might have played terminal a few times before the LAT series, but we knew okay, these guys love picking terminal, so let's practice that map, knowing that like we'll play it for sure. Like it was almost a guaranteed in.
Yeah.
We'll practice the map so hard that like there's no way they can beat us. We were going into that series full confidence, and then like boom, creates a veto. Like we knew, boom. Okay, if we win that map and like we take it like convincingly, there's no way they're gonna replay that map against us. And then boom, we get our confirmed pick like iRise. Like iRise is not even about like, well, we had always good prep on iRise. Like let's not get it wrong. But like iRise was just our comfort picks. Like even if the map was like more straight up, like we could always like, okay, we have iRise, we're chilling, we're good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think as well, like it's to your point, like strategic map picks. When you're working on maps, like I'm giving for like transparency, like we're going in on a Monday and we're going in with a veto like process done in our head, so we know what map set to expect. And sometimes we're working on maps so early and we're trying to get better at maps, but then we're playing teams that I think it's too risky to try this map on for the first time, or it's too risky to actually throw that one in. So we're just keeping that map in the background, keeping it waiting for a team that's not going to expect it, that we think, okay, these guys don't like this map either, but we actually do like it. We're going to throw it in at this moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes you just have like the issue of scheduling and you wait for your time to actually throw a map in to get that confidence and throw it in. I think Terminal, we ended up throwing it in a couple times before it got banned out. But when we threw it in, we were like 6-1ing, 6-2ing teams because in practice, that's what we were doing to teams. And we had so many strats cooked up and so many different looks that we thought no other team was doing at the time. And then paired with the prep where it was such a straight up map that like we had like guarantees on the map. So we were like really good on certain maps in the way that we like threw it in and the timing of it.
Yeah, even like Skid Row Art Point at some point, right? Like I think it was
Yeah,
Major
exactly.
One. Like we barely played Skid Row Art Point. Like teams didn't like really pick it either, but like we would like sometimes ban it here and there. Like it didn't seem like we are confident as Skid Row. But then
Yeah.
like we go into the LAN and we play Skid Row and we just fucking win a huge series on that map.
No, we
Um,
went into that major and I was like, we're gonna play Skid Row. You're like, nah, we're not playing
no
Skid
way,
Row.
we're playing
And then
Skid.
we went to LAN. We ended up practicing it really well, and then you're like, yeah, I think we should play Skid Row. And I was like,
Yeah,
yes, let's
because you
go.
can just see like sometimes like this is where like you gotta trust the players' word for like their confidence. Like sometimes the players will say like we won't play this map because we don't feel confident on it at all. But like sometimes as a coach you can see like the tendency of like the players. Okay, like our
Yeah,
fundamentals on that map, our like flow and like our overall knowledge is super good. And if we go on land and we actually like naturally elevate, then we'll be good at the fucking map. Like
yeah,
our issues throughout the season is like, bro, we were getting tucked. Like we couldn't do a fucking gunfight on like online. We were getting tucked, like not winning gunfights, and like we were remote, so like not always the best internet and like split and whatnot. Like our micro was not always the best, but like going on LAN, we had full confidence in like our abilities to get better. So if I knew, okay, our Karachi, for example, insane macro. We know we understand the map perfectly, but like in scrims, it's been like kind of iffy. Fuck it, we'll throw it in still because I know we'll elevate on the map and then fucking win it. And then again,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
showed many times
I think
And
this
like that's
season.
that
Skid Row
balance. Oh,
too.
go on, Ike.
Sorry, no, just Skid Row. We had the issue where like we couldn't hold a P2 and a P5, and they were the money hills in Skid Row, right? So we spent a major working on P2s and P5s. So we knew what the issue was. We just had to be stronger in our setups, more like communicative, and actually just being harder kills in the setups. And then we end up fixing it, and our P2s and P5s become really good. But we were like the only team in the world that we watched where we couldn't get any P3 time. And watching
Yeah.
the matches, like we're watching Skid Rows and P3, like
Every
we're
team would
getting
win off
0 seconds
P3
every
times. Like
time. We're losing off
yeah.
P3 every time. So we go to LAN and we end up like scrimming it. And like the environment of LAN, I guess, or just the elevation when it goes into
Yeah.
it, like we're winning P3s. People are making more mistakes
That
in
reminded
matches.
me.
So we're actually like going through and winning this P3 time. So we're throwing it in. Like, okay, we're actually getting P3 time. We trust our P2 and 5
Yeah.
now. We're throwing in Skid Row. Like,
That reminded me
we-
for stats, right? Like I wanted to like bring up for Ash because you brought up a really good point throughout the season or early in the season. Terminal art point, bro. We were so fucking shit at terminal art point for a long time, and nobody like on our team liked it. But then Ash comes into one day and he's like, "Boys, I figured out. I don't know if it was Ash or Ari, but I think it was Ash.
Yeah, me and
yeah,
Boys,
Adam. I said it. I said it, and Adam
yeah,
said, "I've been
yeah,
thinking this."
bro." Ash is like, "Yo, I figured out fucking terminal art point." Like every team that like plays
yeah,
the map and wins it, their P3 time is like the factor. If you get P3 time, you just win the map. And like it was like our biggest switch like
yeah.
for us on that map
P3,
or something.
P3 was in the plane. P4 was Burger Hill. And
Yeah,
the general consensus was that the Burger Hill was like the most important one, and
yeah,
people would like give up the plain hill to rotate to the Burger Hill. But
mm,
Ash was like, actually, when you look at it, the teams that hold the P3 time end up winning the map for the most part because the Burger Hill you can contest it with nades, so like
yeah,
you can make it neutral, and like people are playing so hard for that time that like that's where you see more neutral time than the actual plain hill. So
yeah.
instead of trying to like make our P4s and 5s really good, why don't we just look at training our P2s and 3s? Because then we're getting 120 points over and over and over again,
And
and we're just beating teams out.
even Karachi P4s, like at the end of the year. Like
Yeah.
people
Yeah,
thought like Karachi P4 is a chalked hill. You cannot get time on it. But if you actually worked hard enough on that, like people kind of chalk and like make it like one of your best hills, and, like you get a fucking magic like 30 seconds on a hill that like nobody really gets time
yeah,
on. And then like shit, if you like split time on P5, like you're in a really good spot for P1, and like having that like understanding of the map in that aspect was like really, really important. And I think like
Yeah.
that stems from like having good stats understanding.
Yeah. And I was
yeah,
gonna say, like, on what you were saying, like, just that positive reinforcement, right? A lot of the time we talk about like, oh, we need to get better at this, need to get better at that. What are we actually doing well? Showing that to your players to instill confidence, like,
Super important.
super important.
yeah,
Like, players sometimes will get in their heads about everything they're doing bad on the map, but like, if we're doing like so many things right, the end goal is 250. If we just do our game, we do the things that I know we can do, we'll get to 250. We just don't need to overcomplicate it, right? How many times you're really good at P2 and you're like, guys, we need to work on P3. You try it,
Then
and now
you
your
chop your
P2s
P2.
are awful. It's just like, alright, well, if we just focus our P2s and then we maybe focus on a P4, like just increasing something that's we're at 75% to get it to 80 or 90, rather than go from 0 to 100, we'll probably get there faster. It's that positive reinforcement is so key, and I don't think a lot of it was a massive shift that I think we made throughout the year, just switch over to more
Even
positive
I think we
feedback.
can kind of quote Matt, right? Matt Fisher. Like I don't know like the actual ratio, but let's say 7 out of 10 like piece of criticism or like feedback should be positive,
Yeah,
right? And like the 3 out of 10 should be like more constructive, like a bit of like negative and like all these things. But like for the most part, you should like reinforce what you're doing good because this is what you need to remember. You don't want to remember what you're doing wrong. You want to know what you're doing right and like
yeah,
keep doing it. It's like a thing in COD where like people do a lot is like, yo, you do this fucking dog play all the time, like, and we keep like forcing the things we're doing wrong, but bro, just say what the fuck you're doing right, and you'll keep doing it. It's like, and we did that for like a full stage or whatnot, like
yeah.
to just fuck the negative stuff. Let's do all positives. Boom, just like that, looking good now.
yeah,
And like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a
It was
shout
it
out
was
Matt.
really good. It's like where you have like we lost a control round, but then you're going into it and saying for a minute 15 seconds of that control round, it was perfect. God, like if we can just add an extra 20 seconds to that 1 minute 15, like we would have won the round easy. So like let's look at what we're doing in that 1 minute 15 and not what we're actually messed up on the 20 seconds that we know already what the answer is. Like right, like
Yeah.
let's keep doing what's good.
like Invasion Control. I
Exactly.
swear to God, we played Invasion Control so well on offense. We couldn't work out a defense for life of us, but our offense was so good. And once you like, everyone was like, "Oh, our offenses are bad," like on the team, and we instilled the confidence. Like our offenses are really good. We just need to make sure
Statistically, they're fucking
we just
nice.
need to solidly like get a defense going, which isn't the hardest job in the world. And once the players like believed it, we started throwing invasion, and we started getting map wins on
Exactly.
invasion, and our control map pool got a lot deeper, and simple things like that. Cool boys. I want you to talk to you guys a little bit. You know, we spoke about Matt just then. The people behind the scenes. Matt, we spoke about quite a bit. What about within LAG? We had massive support from two members of staff that we work with daily, pretty much, Brenda and Stephen. How? What do you have to say to them if they are watching, or just about them as individuals?
Well, one thing from the start of like my stay on LAG, like I really liked about Brenda is that she always gave me full trust. Like no matter like the hardships of like the team or like if we were like losing and stuff, she was the one that like really trusted the process the most. Like we always say like trust the process and like it was a big part of like our identity as a team. Like we need to like trust um like our day to day and like the way we approach things. But like she was the one, if anything, like inspired us to really do that because she was like the pinnacle of like trusting the process like every day like supporting us and like our approach and even when things went wrong she was like guys like our end goal is this like let's focus on the end goal and even for me I mean as you guys can see I have a little bit of an accent you know again I'm my language is French so she helped me a lot with like language and like the way I would utilize like certain words and like just that in itself is like a big piece of advice. Like the actually like the words I'm using really do matter when you talk to a player. And
Yeah.
again, that's because she has a really like deep management background. So like she could help me with management. Um, and again, like her showing support. And again, COD is not her first game. Like LG was like on super low, like working this season, right? Like there was only her and like Steven and then like she gave like a lot of her time to us, which I really appreciate. And like didn't like really want to be in COD too much or like too involved in COD, but like she was there for us. Um, COD is not her first game, obviously, but like again, she did an amazing work to like accommodate that for us. We had like our weekly meetings, always making sure that the boys were on point, but like us as well. Um, so yeah, I appreciate Brenda a lot, and even like when she came to events, like I feel like the energy was a bit different as well. I think like it helped the players as well in some ways because like she would bring an amazing like vibe around the squad, and she was super involved, and yeah, it was a great time being with her. And again, Steven when he was there at events, so again, amazing guy, good kid, good heart. So a lot of love for Steven as well.
I think my two favorite things from Brenda was she completely cut out. We were basically banned at some point from saying if if
Yeah,
was never a statement. It was like when we win this, when we do this, instead of like a if, because she was really like you said, um, like in tune with the language that you use, and she was like teaching us that level. And one thing that I remember, she said that definitely is gonna like be taken with me, and just in general, like I think all of us will take it. Is she like making sure that you're not making the excuses early doors. Like
yeah,
basically, I think I saw someone else tweet this as well. I can't remember who, but um like limiting yourself, like, oh, we're a bottom eight team, out of the like bottom eight we do this, or the top four, like not talking about teams in that aspect, because you're limiting your mindset to they're better than you, or you're
mhm,
lower than them. Just seeing them as pure equals, pure competitors, and striving for better, because that's where like you start to create an extra culture. And I feel like we could do that going into next year probably a little bit better as well, which is
mhm,
something that she taught me from just being around her.
yeah,
um, but yeah, definitely next year, something that I'm taking on board.
Like it. Well chosen words, guys. Nah,
yeah.
Brenda's been insane. A lot of people will paint LAG as like, oh, gave us no support. They aren't even, there's no facility for the guys. The guys are remote when traditionally they had done that in the past.
The support
I,
that we had and the people that
yeah,
worked there were amazing.
I felt as supported, if not probably more supported on LAG this year than I did on the Mutineers last year. Um, both were remote roles, but LAG, I knew I had full faith, full trust, and Brenda's support every step of the way. Which then, we're trying to build a culture. Her and Steven built a great culture for us to be able to thrive and get results. So can't thank them enough, really and truthfully.
Yeah.
Um,
I think like even apart from like the people that we were directly involved in, like people outside the actual like CDL, well, not CDL, but like the teams and themselves were amazing as well. Like talking about the PRCs, for example, like
yeah,
Claire or Aaron that like were like supporting us at events. Again, really underrated people in this scene, but them being there like throughout the whole year with us, like helping us at majors, like even online for matches, like they put like a lot of work in what they're doing, and like they need like a lot of credit. So a little bit a shout out to Claire and Aaron,
100%.
Yeah.
really good people.
Because there's so many things that we
Jeff
never
as well.
so many things we never
Exactly.
experienced. Like what we had Ari. Ari was our sort of point guy for the league. He was going to all the scrim
Yeah,
calls. He was doing all the emails, all of
Yeah.
the catch ups with the leagues. He was the person during match weeks, making sure that players had jerseys or what. Ari was our guy for everything league related, taking it off your plate so that you can focus on team and team
yeah,
results, which was
exactly.
massive. But Aaron and Claire, like every time that we got to interact with them at events, especially like being the youngest staff, like our average age is 20 as a staff, including John, was like 23, and the average age of coaches in the league as coaching staff is like 28 to 30. Like we've got years ahead of us, and people have years of experience ahead of us. They really helped bridge that gap for us,
They
making
were
sure
super supportive as
little
well, and
things from like media days that like we never even thought of because we never experienced it, right?
yeah,
They were super great with. So yeah, the league supported us massively too.
Yeah.
agreed.
Talk to us, guys. A little bit about that Vegas Falcons project. Um,
Ooh.
how do we feel? I personally, I'm positive about the entire situation.
Mhm.
Um, I put out a little tweet about it. I cannot see why this is a negative thing.
Mhm.
Um, people say about their spots, less spots in NA. Me being from Europe, I've seen European players not be able to get into the league because of region lock for so many
Yep.
years. So I find it quite hysterical and quite hypocritical that NA players are complaining about region lock because there's now a Vegas Falcons team that wants to field a Saudi Arabian team. Um,
Mhm.
I think I'm really high on it because the EWC event that everyone went to, right? Saudis hosted it. If Falcons are gonna host a major, why would I ever complain if they're gonna go host a major? You saw Luti's tweet about an academy team. You see like they might uh, build into the challenges ecosystem, build a system up for the other regions and support the CDL. Why would I be mad? Why would I not like that? I'm so positive about the
Exactly.
entire thing. I think regardless of their results, Falcons being in the CDL and showing dedication to push the scene forward is only going to better the rest of the league. Um,
Mhm.
so I couldn't give a damn if they're the worst team or the best team, but I'm just happy that they are involved.
Yeah, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, like a team will be the worst team in the league, and they might not be. They might be super good. Who fucking knows? My point is like I like the project, and if you think about like what Paris Legion or Vegas Legion did in the past, they did fucking nothing for the scene. Genuinely, they paid people on minimum salaries. They failed for the most part bad teams, except for this year. I think this year they had pretty good teams. Um, like there was like I mean I don't want to like take shots at them, but like the organ itself was poorly ran, and they actually didn't do anything for the league. They didn't win fucking nothing. They didn't do any events, like but now you have Falcons that go in, one of the probably biggest orgs in esports now, right? And like they have actually ambitions, actual fucking ambitions for the scene, and people might underestimate how important it is to have like diversity in the league. Like I think having this old region like in COD now is actually massive. Like for me, for example, I would have never gotten into COD if it wasn't for Gotaga, you know?
Yeah,
So like I think Gentlemates, like being at the event at EWC was like super cool for me because I'm like, damn, it brings me back. Like I got into COD from like watching Gotaga like NW3 or NW2, like doing like his nukes and stuff and like talking about Comp COD and like how he was like the best EU player at the time, like
yeah,
playing against Crimsix and
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
right? It was super cool. And like that's how I got into like competitive COD. But like that's because I'm French and like there's a bunch of like Saudi Arabian players probably that like are getting like super excited for like this opportunity or like even Miami, right? Like Miami and like the Spanish project I really like as well because again it brings a whole new community to COD and this is what we need. look at all the esports. It's a worldwide game. Like League of Legends, worldwide, Korea, China, Europe. Like they have different leagues. I think we need this diversity in COD. And I think like yes, okay, maybe 4 players are losing the spots, but like 4 players like losing their spots in NA like actually brings so much for like the rest of the CDLs in itself. So
Yeah.
I think it's a win in general. Um, if they decide to
And
like stick to the old Saudi thing, perfect. If they want to change players, great as well. I like the idea of like the old project, as you said, like the challenger stuff as well. I'm really high on like challengers, and I want challengers to succeed. So having them as an organ in the league is super important as well for that. So yeah, I think I like the project. I like the vision.
Mhm.
I think as well, like a lot of people are saying, like, I mean, overall, I agree with like what you guys say, but a lot of teams, people are saying like the worst team ever. They won't get a win. I think people need to also remember like this is a fact, and this is a knock on anyone who was a part of that team. But the worst team in CDL history was 4 NA players, and they got 2 series wins all year in 5 majors. And it's 2 series wins, one online and one on LAN. I'll bet my life that the Falcons don't do worse than that. I know like they won't be the worst team in CDL history. They'll probably go on to do certain things. Like these guys have won at EU Elite. They've gone against odds wherever possible. Like I don't doubt that they'll just get better. I mean, the
They're
same thing
actually
was said
talented.
about Miami too.
They I
Yeah, I
mean
mean,
everyone does shoot, but like
Tell you, bro,
they're super
that salad guy is different, bro. Salad and Khaled, two of
I
them
like
are
like
they're
I
different,
nice.
like
bro.
The thing is like they just
I think
need
it's
to
the
have
same one.
the pro reps.
100%.
Genuinely. Like this is how you develop
They'll
like
get better.
players.
They'll get better.
Like you develop so much faster in the league because it's the peak of fucking competitive COD. You'll like obviously get much better. Like if these guys can figure it out as a unit, I mean you'll see that they're gonna be good. I mean, maybe
They're
not the
already
best
good
team
at
of
S
all
and
time.
D, and they play
Exactly.
against like pro S and D players. Like from Saudi Arabia, they'll play like against like the top S&D kids
Mhm.
in the world on worst ping, no problem. Like they're already dangerous when it comes to S&D. Like wow, how do you think they're not gonna take a respawn and
Yeah.
take 2 S&Ds like more than twice? And even
Yeah.
just take 2 respawns and 1 S&D more than twice. Like they're not gonna be the worst team you've ever seen, and
Mhm.
they're gonna be far from it. I think they'll actually get a good amount of a good amount of wins, and maybe this season they won't qualify for champs like early door pickings, but like I guarantee that if they do stick to a project, they're gonna see like growth and consistent growth year in year out because, like you said, it's an untapped region. They're doing a good project.
I think
I
it's gonna be
think like a
so
lot of
similar to Miami. Like Miami,
exactly what I
everyone
was
was
about to
saying,
say.
oh, they're gonna be bottom battle, whatever. And Miami had players that were in CWL flying, doing well. Miami had players that were in NA challenges, like Vickle flying, doing well. Like they had Jose like they
Real.
had really good players. Um,
Even
but
Eric.
Miami took a couple of roster changes to really figure out the dynamics, the shift, the swap. Um, they had to figure out what they needed to be able to become that sort of like top team or a team that competes really well. And they end up having a really strong back end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if the Saudis did a similar thing. Like they've currently had a lot of roster changes because of visa issues, getting their players to EU, things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if the Saudis um, were shuffling their roster a little bit early doors. Potentially the whole first year is just figuring out what 4 is going to be the best 4 to tackle the league, and then those 4 players the second year are going to come out the gates flying with so much experience under their belts and do really well. So I'm excited to see them play.
Wishing them luck for sure.
Wishing them luck. And hopefully they show out. I think they're going to be able to do it. Um, right, boys. So I guess we're going to move on to the stresses of the off season a little bit. I don't want to talk
Ooh,
about
I like that.
this too much, but
Yeah.
with quote unquote opportunities um, dwindling down, obviously Falcons have their head coach in Luti. Don't know what their coaching staff might look like, but um, talk to me, about the stresses of the off season. We've done this podcast, showcased quite a lot, spoke about quite a lot of stuff that we do as a coaching staff. A lot of the stuff that we do in theory can be imitated, right? Someone could just watch this, take an idea, copy it. Nothing's stopping them from doing that. Um, why did we feel like it was necessary, at least in this podcast, to be able to share that? Because that's something none of us have ever done. It is very rare to see a coaching staff reveal what they've been doing
Mhm.
behind the scenes.
Because the truth is, there's not many positions in the league. First off, and you want one of them. And I think the best way of doing that potentially is to like just showcase what you do and like your mindset and like put it out there. I think it's people underestimate how stressful it is to be in the off season and like Rostermania. It's the same for players, same for coaches. For me, for example, there's only 12 at coaching spots. Uh, Most of them are already filled, so I have like almost no options. And like with LAG exploring potential new buyers or whatnot, I don't know if if they're gonna stay or they're gonna sell. But my job is not guaranteed. Maybe I'm not gonna be in the league next year, even if we had a good season. Um, Same thing for you guys. We don't know because you guys even analyst is even harder. Let's be honest. Like
I mean, but there's 12
because people
CDL
don't
teams.
value
Yeah,
people don't value analysts as much as a head coach.
yeah.
Um, and the thing is, like, it's really hard, genuinely, to go on every day and like try and enjoy your off time when like every day is like, may I like, will I hear more about like this one team that I'm trying to like join, or will I get more info on like what's happening? Like every day is just like a bit stressful, and like it's hard to be fully at rest and at peace. I think during the off season, and even like for me last year, and it's the same thing, probably it's gonna be the same thing this year. I won't know until the very, very last day of the season or the off season if like I'm gonna get a job. And for some people, I think like for you guys, I'm really happy like y'all have degrees and like jobs like 9 to 5s. For me, I have nothing to bounce back on. Like I don't have a degree because I pursued coaching from like 18 years old to now. And then if I don't have like a job right after, then I might have to go back to school, and it's like kind of hard to gauge like what I want to do, or like if I want to do challengers again, but like not getting paid. Like at some point, you gotta make money. Like I'm fucking 22. I'm gonna be 23. Like that time of the like your life where you gotta like look forward to like your future, and it's definitely super stressful to like just be there every day and like hoping for something to happen. And I do believe that like I deserve a job more than a lot of people. I think same for you guys. Again, it's just like it's hard to showcase why you deserve a job, and people are like just comfortable on their teams, and like managers are comfortable with no matter the result to like the people they're working with, which sure that's like their way of doing things. Like in football, for example, you can't have a bad season or you're getting fucking like kicked out. Like, but in the CDL, it's much different. So for us, the opportunities are so slim. So again, we gotta see and pray. But um, yeah, it's not really the off season. I think it's if anything, it might be more stressful than the actual season in itself. Because at least in a season, you have you know that revenue, you have that job. So yeah.
Yeah. I think as well, like to your point of like teams being super comfortable. Yeah, it's completely different. It's like the complete backside of the league that people don't think about is like the coaches or the on teams, like they don't shuffle a lot. So to be given opportunities is extremely hard, especially because everything is done behind the scenes. So doing something like this is a good opportunity to showcase what we do, to at least open the door. Hopefully the right eyes see it, and then you can open the door without trying to like force an interview, because that's the hardest step. I think we all know, like once we've got an interview for a team, if we usually we've landed them, right? So the hardest step is actually just getting someone to be comfortable enough to give you that interview, and it's hard to get the connection. So hopefully this helps that. But secondly, and to your point, Ash, of like what stops other people from just doing what we do, um, nothing can stop anyone from doing anything. That's just the essence like of the game, I guess. But like you need, I think all three of us are extremely like motivated and extremely hard workers. Like that, as you said, well from the start, like we have the reputation of being like extremely strong work ethics.
Hmm.
Um, and the second part to that, which I think is even more important, is you need a coaching staff that's going to have the IQ to do it. I mean, we know about like there's plenty analysts in challenges or whoever wherever that are quote unquote analysts, but they're quote unquote VOD recorders at the same time, so not really inputting anything. There's coaches in challenges and even in the league to some extent that they don't input enough, or they're not actually taking the extra steps to help their team push forward. Um, and to that, you need a coaching staff who has the IQ and the know-how to be able to help their team. And I think we've proved this year that we have the ability to do so. What separates a good player from a bad player, I think, is the exact same way as what separates a good coach from a bad coach. Like everyone can do everything, but can you actually do it? Is just the simple, plain
Yeah.
layman term of saying it.
Yeah, I
And again,
mean,
I think like we get criticized a lot for like not actually being like players, you know. Like I think this is a big thing in COD is like, yo, you need
Yeah.
to play the game like being an old player to actually coach. I promise you, it's not the case. Like, it's just not. Like,
Yeah, it's
I've
fair.
watched more COD in the past 4 years than like probably everyone on Earth. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But like, I've watched so much COD that like at some point you'll fucking learn something about the game. Like, look at some like coaches in other sports. Greg Popovich, Bill Belichick, like some of the best coaches of all time, are coaches that I've never competed to the highest level. We've competed to like a lower level, but like it's not about how well you could actually shoot the fucking weapon. It's about your approach and the way you can like retain information and like your knowledge. It's completely different things than just playing the game. I think like that way of like creating opportunities is just wrong and flawed as well. Like it's not because you've played the game you're gonna be a good coach. Fucking look at Frank Lampard, dog shit fucking coach, great player.
Hey man, Chelsea fan.
My bad.
Nah, I mean, yeah, I mean, you guys said it, but like, the analyst situation is always sticky for me because there's, I think I'm one of 4 analysts in the league, off the top of my
Mhm.
head, maybe 5. There's 12 CDL teams. Half of them don't have an analyst. You have teams that have one-man bands, and I have no idea how they survive without extra support.
Shout out to these people. It's
Yeah,
super hard.
people like Rambo Ray, like crazy good season because he's working on his own. He's head coaching, and I think he's GMing at the same time.
And doing some like
Yeah,
stats and stuff at the same
he's
time.
doing
Like
a
he's
lot
doing
of work on his
everything.
own. We thrived a lot based off the fact that we delegated our work and you know treated it like as such. But people in the league don't have analysts because I get a lot of kickback in terms of a budget, which is always hard, and we keep getting conversations that budgets are getting reduced and reduced, which means again opportunities get lower for people like us who are more kind of fresh into the scene. But B, they don't understand the value that analysts can bring. They've never worked with someone who can bring value, um, and it's often you know you get boxed into that corner of if you don't understand it, why are you gonna hire, right? Like I'm grateful I worked with Will before, and then Will understood the value to then let me try things and do new things and impact the team in the way I did this year. Um, but unless you, even if you have an analyst once and then they give you a bad impression, it's so hard to reignite that flame for a team because they're considered a surplus to requirements rather than a need. But I find it insane. Like I look at like Optic for example, right? JP ran a team on his own. JP didn't play the game competitively for one, so that player conversation coach wasn't. I think he's shattered that on his own, and he ran a really successful Optic team. Um, but JP is the only person in the top 4 to be an analyst, and Optic go win champs, and Optic have a really good approach this year, at least in my opinion, outside looking in at working on their map pool, working on how to get better, working on what they really need to do. And there's no doubt in my mind that JP was a big driving force behind that. Um, so yeah, I think it's really tough, and it's why you know you tend to just give out. This
I
podcast
think
was
like
a necessity for us to do.
yeah, and I think like even when you think about, I think you can be a super good coach, but at the end of the day, you need the players' respect to be a good coach.
Yeah,
Like you could be the best coach possible ever, but like some people just don't believe in coaching, so like they won't even entertain your ideas or like your mindset or like your values, and that in itself is a big flaw in COD as well. People don't value coaches necessarily because they think, okay, it's just fucking COD, let's just shoot a fucking weapon. But like coaching is one much more than fucking teaching how to shoot the weapon. I won't teach you how to shoot. I shoot like shit. Let's be honest. But the reality of it is like it's genuinely all about like making like every player the best version they can be of themselves on a mental level and like on a day-to-day basis, like just helping them with like their life habits and like stuff like this is like what coaching is all about, right? And like I think it's as much more than just again COD and just shooting COD. Like this is not what coaching is all about. So
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, speak for yourself. I shoot straight.
I shoot so
I'm
shit,
nice
bro.
with it.
If
I
I
mean I
played
would
every
both of
day,
y'all.
ooh, if I didn't have a job. Anyway, alright, boys. I think kind of a good note to close it on. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know, we spoke about a lot.
it's late.
We can always speak about more. We would yap forever.
yeah, we
But
could.
I'm always down to kind of restart this conversation. If people like the video, want to get more insights into sort of how we prepared LAG, sort of the work we do behind the scenes. Even if we do it as a live stream, so we can kind of have more interaction with people and give them what they want to see. Um, might be down to do that, but let us know what you guys think. Will, thank you so much for coming on, man. Honestly,
Thank you
um,
guys. It was a pleasure.
we need to find ways to enjoy our off season. I'll be in
Yep.
Greece, so you know I'll be in Greece for the next
Have fun
week.
with that.
You two boys can hold the fort down.
Gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
any closing remarks, Will?
Appreciate the opportunity to speak. It's my first podcast. I don't really do like that old talking content stuff too much. Again, gotta get used to it more. So I think it's like a good icebreaker. So I appreciate you guys for the opportunity there. I think we should do a part two at some point. Maybe talk about other stuff, more Rostermania things maybe, or into next year. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
But I think we could do this more often. And it was a pleasure. Love you guys. Thank you for the season that we had. And yeah,
Yeah.
That's good.
that's it, man.
That's good. All right,
Thoughts?
guys. Well, thank you guys for watching episode 4 of the Chit Chat. I've been Cheek, Ariane. We were here with Will, Veohz. Peace.
Appreciate it, guys.
Peace.
Peace.